Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows.
Daryl A. Meadows.
Colton D. Brown, future Esquire.
Yeah, that's it. Today, I'm happy to say we have a fun episode on Bill and Ted.
Yes.
Face the Music.
Bill and Ted Face the Music, a sequel almost 30 years in the making, roughly. So it's very exciting to get a chance to talk about it. Kind of one of the few movies that have been theatrically released in 2020 as well, although we did not watch it that way, which we'll talk about when we do talk about the movie itself. Yes, very, very exciting. This is going to be an episode that is admittedly probably going to run a little long and have some wild tone shifts if I had to guess, so I will flag those things up front. We do have quite a bit of news to catch up on. We had the DC FanDome event that happened maybe a week or so ago, roughly, and we contemplated doing a separate episode on that and just didn't make the time for it, and so it's kind of getting lumped into this Bill and Ted episode. So we're going to have a lot to talk about today, but it'll be fun. It'll be excellent. I think so. So we did actually get up the COVID-19 pandemic special at long last to our regular listeners last week. So if anyone hasn't had a chance to check that out, it is completely free to listen to on our regular feed. We recorded that, I want to say the like maybe the last day in May, maybe the first day in June, somewhere around there. And when I was editing it, I obviously listened to it again, and I thought, oh, maybe this will feel dated. We recorded this almost 3 months ago. It's going to feel weird, talking about a thing that happened 3 months ago. No, everything in that was completely relevant today. Pandemic still basically unchanged. We started talking about civil unrest, and I was just like, yeah, nope, that's also unchanged. So anyway, that episode, for the most part, kind of feels like it could have been recorded any time in the past 3 months. So that's a little fun fact for you at the top. Now let's shift into some actual Bill and Ted related fun facts, or just one. I don't ask too much of you. Do you have any Bill and Ted related fun facts to share with our listeners today?
I have a very fun fact. At least we used to think it was fun.
All right.
Once a year, we would make the trip to our Mecca, which would be that of Universal Studio Horror Nights.
Yep, Halloween Horror Nights. Yep.
And once a year, there for a short spurt, we would always make a concerted effort to always go and see Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure.
Excellent.
Yeah, which was always like a recap of the year in pop culture and politics, and it was just a big spoof off of everything that happened. Well, they ended up canceling it. I guess allegations by Jamie Lee Curtis Tate from Vice, said there was some homophobic and racism in that year's show. They canceled it in California, and they continued the show in Universal Studios of Florida until 2017. So I guess whoever was writing those shows did not keep it most excellent. They must have had some not so excellent things in there, and at the cutting of the show, so they cut it off. But I always enjoyed them. I always thought they were funny.
Yeah, it was a tradition for us. We would, like you said, find the time to sit and watch Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure, and they ran for a decent length. I think they were usually at least a half hour, somewhere around there. So it was kind of like you'd be standing around in lines all night, walking into houses and stuff like that, haunted houses, and then hey, this is kind of the respite from that. A little turn your brain off action, enjoy some goofy, dumb Bill and Ted. I guess occasionally homophobic and racist Bill and Ted. I don't know about that. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. At least one of the Bill and Ted films, the second one, Bogus Journey, does have the inclusion of some homophobic slurs, which
different times
at the time it was made, that was a little bit more socially acceptable, turn of this, well, not quite turn of the century, but, between the late 80s and early 90s. which again doesn't excuse it. So don't interpret me saying that as such. But yeah, I could certainly see that kind of sifting in. But it was fun. We love those shows, and I actually just did, out of curiosity, look, and a lot of them have been recorded and put up on YouTube. It was kind of like multi-angle things, like not like quite official productions, but clearly someone made a concerted effort, like year in, year out, to get these things like recorded for posterity. And so I watched like 5 minutes of one. It's a little bit better in the moment, but they're still fun, and the novelty, was always something that really kind of made it worth it for us. So yeah, Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure was a pastime for us. I think Halloween Horror Nights is probably canceled this year, although Florida, maybe it's still happening. Who's to say?
Right.
But I wouldn't be surprised, with this new movie coming out, if they maybe try to revive it the next time there is, maybe 2021, they try to bring back Bill and Ted's Excellent Halloween Adventure. They gave it a few years off after it got canceled, in more ways than one, apparently, and bring it back, with a little bit of new energy, new flavor to it, given that there's now a resurgence in the particular franchise now. So
another fun fact, one more fun fact for you.
Okay. All right. Yeah, absolutely.
There is a action RPG called Wild Stallions on iOS and Android.
Wild Stallions!
Yeah. And apparently, quote unquote, from PocketGamer.com, Bill and Ted's Wild Stallions video hands-on, quote unquote, fails most egregiously.
Wow, so most egregiously.
It's probably not the funnest game to play, or the best game
to play.
Totally
a bogus game, dude.
Yep.
Well, I do actually have one fun fact of my own. It's one I don't think that's going to mean a whole lot to you, but it might mean something to some of our listeners that are familiar with this man. So Tosin Abasi is a guitarist. He's a guitarist for the band Animals as Leaders, an instrumental kind of progressive metal band. And he is the man who supplies the air guitar riffs for Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Really?
Yeah. So I just thought that was kind of neat, it's actually someone I've seen live. I've seen Animals as Leaders a couple times live, and his work on the guitar is excellent. I think I said excellent, actually, in a
I was wondering
just a me sort of way. That was not intentional at all, but he's an excellent guitarist, and I think a very appropriate and most non-bogus pick for this film. So I enjoyed that little bit of trivia. So that's my small fun fact to contribute for this Bill and Ted centered episode. So shifting out of fun facts, this is where we deliver news that we don't want to deliver. Starting this episode with, I think, some news that broke, I guess, a few days ago now from when we're recording, that just, I think, for both of us, left us just completely stunned and heartbroken. And that is that star of Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately died Friday, August 28th, at age 43, after a 4-year battle with colon cancer. And a 4-year battle that was not public. I don't think anyone really knew it except for immediate family, and it seems like even his co-stars and filmmakers that worked with him really had no idea. So this is something that he went through for 4 years, and unfortunately lost his life to at age 43. And when I saw, I couldn't process it immediately. It's such an unexpected, tragic thing to just you see it on social media, or someone says something, or I think Enrique even texted us. I had already known at that point. I don't know if that's how you found out, but
no. I was sitting over at Sarah's parents' house when we were playing Catan, and Sarah's brother came in. He's like, "Hey, you know that dude that played Black Panther?" I'm like, "Yeah, Chadwick Boseman." And I was all, "Yeah, what about him?" And and yeah, he died. I'm like, "No way." So I had to look it up, and that's when I grabbed my phone. When I grabbed my phone, I saw the text message from Henry.
Yeah. It's such a shock. You need that independent confirmation, because it's like at first gasp, you're just like, okay, all right, internet troll, move along. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes me sad. This is not the first time we've talked about celebrities and actors that have passed away. And by and large, most of those have been about actors that have lived long, full lives, had excellent careers. And Chadwick Boseman had an excellent career, but he didn't have a long, full life. He was 43 years old when he died. And it just, there's a lot of things that I could say, would like to say, but I think it's probably best for the purposes of this episode, where we have a lot that we're going to cover, a lot that we're going to talk about, and a topic that is very much tonally, outside of the realm of something like this happening. I thought what I would do is just read the statement that his family posted on Twitter, basically confirming his passing, and just share that with our listeners. I'll just read this aloud. It is with immeasurable grief that we can confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much. From Marshall to Da 5 Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is actually unreleased as of now, and several more, all were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy. It was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life in Black Panther. He died in his home with his wife and family by his side. The family thanks you for your love and prayers and asks that you continue to respect their privacy during this difficult time. This man filmed Captain America Civil War, Black Panther, 2 Avengers movies, Da 5 Bloods, 21 Bridges, Marshall, while having surgeries and chemotherapy as a result of stage 3 and 4 cancer. I mean, I don't think you can put into words what that takes. It's awe-inspiring to hear that, and just heartbreaking for his family, for the people that knew him best, to know that he was struggling with that, all while he was bringing immeasurable joy to all of our lives. I do believe at one point you proclaimed yourself to be the Black Panther.
Yeah.
So, it's clear the impact that he had on us. We've ranted and raved about the film Black Panther itself on many occasions.
And it goes a lot. It goes beyond that too. His time spent off the screen. You read about his interaction. Like I watched one commencement speech, or I think is what it's called when they give a speech. Guests give a speech at colleges and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And it was outstanding. You read about how he got into showbiz with the sponsoring of his tuition to go to school from Denzel Washington. Like, you hear about his upbringing, and there was one thing I think Henry brought up in our text messages and stuff, where he talked about he goes and speaks to the kids that were suffering from cancer and stuff, and
right.
He was just real. He's a real down to earth guy, and he's just a real impactful person. He's definitely gonna. He's left behind a legacy. We'll just leave it at that, I guess. He's got one hell of a legacy for as short a time. I feel like he got to shine.
He basically had a lead role in 42 as Jackie Robinson. Which, side note, a very eerie side note, the day he died was when Jackie Robinson Day was being celebrated in Major League Baseball, and something like that. It's just hard to wrap your head around that. It's sort of coincidence, but
I think it's also worth mentioning that the announcement of his passing, I think, is the most tweeted thing in the history of Twitter.
I think it's the most liked tweet ever, is what they said. Which, again, speaks volumes, right?
It does. And during this time, I hate to drag this into it, but just like on my Facebook feed and stuff that I see, a lot of like the dichotomy and the politics and the polarization of how people feel about certain things. there's one thing that kind of like united my Facebook feed, and that was respect for his passing, which is just absolutely mind blowing. You know, like I don't know. It's for an actor to have that kind of impact on everyone is just outstanding. I mean, I can't think of anything else quite like it. So I don't know, man. It really sucks because he had a lot of stuff to give.
He did. Yeah. So 42 came out in 2013. That was the first lead role. So he's effectively been working, with major lead roles had been working for, it's still hard for me to kind of say that and process it, but for basically 7 years.
That's it. He had
that's less than a decade. Actors usually have the opportunity to have decades on their resume, and so this is a career that's tragically cut short, a life that's tragically cut short. Someone that gave us so much in a small space of time, who we know would have given us, top-notch performance after top-notch performance. So
there's like a saying, I hate to sound like a goober, but there's a saying about the brightest stars and how long they can shine. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what that saying is. That's quite not poetic. Does not sound good, but is a really good saying about that. I wish I knew it. Okay. But I feel it's applicable. Anyways, I think it would be. I think it'd be good to do because believe it, I hate to admit this, but I've only seen 2 of his movies. I'd like to take a dive.
I mean, you've seen Civil War. You've seen all the Marvel
I've guessed
movies,
yes, but not lead movies, I should say.
Okay.
Defy Bloods, which I saw. We
covered earlier this year. Yep.
And of course Black Panther, but I'd never Robinson.
You haven't seen 42, or he was also portrayed James Brown in Get On Up, I think 2014.
Which that one's probably pretty good too. I've never seen that one either.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and then 21 Bridges was last year. I think he played a cop who was produced by the Russo brothers. So there's been a few movies where he's played the lead role. So I think what you're kind of suggesting, I don't know if you actually came out and said it, is that we should probably maybe take the opportunity to do a deep dive on his career and maybe look at some of those performances in those movies specifically. And
yeah, totally.
When we're not working within the space of an episode where we've got a DC thing going on, a Bill and Ted movie, just take the time, dedicate the time, the space, and just really, really, dive into it and enjoy the legacy that he leaves behind. I think we should. I think we definitely should. So I think for our listeners that are listening, hopefully we can put something like that together in the next few weeks, and
hopefully try to make it timely and everything, hopefully we can.
Yeah. We'd like to, obviously sooner rather than later, I think would be appropriate, but we need to track down movies, watch the movies, and dedicate the time to recording as well. So there's a little bit of logistics that would need to go into that, but I think it's something that I think you and I are absolutely going to be willing to make happen. So yes. So for now, what we'll say rest in power to Chadwick Boseman. But this is not the last time that we'll talk about him.
And I have to concede.
He's going to come up a lot.
I will give it to Chadwick. I am not the Black Panther. Chadwick Boseman is the Black Panther.
Chadwick Boseman is the Black Panther.
I will say it.
That's right.
I'm certainly not the Black Panther.
Yeah. Okay. So I was switching tonally back into maybe something that is a little bit more excellent, we hope. Some news. So the way I structured the news section is we're going to do news, trailers, and then we're going to jump to the DC stuff, have the DC stuff in a self-contained space. Then we'll talk some Bill and Ted. Some nice organization for the episode. So the first piece of news that I want to talk about is concerning a new Marvel movie coming courtesy of one Sony Pictures, which
Morbius
might not generate much enthusiasm because of the Morbiuses and the Venoms of the world, but perhaps this is something that could be a little bit more exciting than those. So Olivia Wilde who I'm sure you know, mostly as an actress. Also has been a director. She directed Booksmart last year, I want to say it was. Time is irrelevant. I truly don't understand it anymore, so don't know when that was, but I think it was last year. She's closed a deal to direct and develop a secret Marvel film project revolving around a female character in the universe. And while not confirmed, it is expected that it will center around Spider-Woman. So, this is a good get. Booksmart was great. Olivia Wilde is obviously very talented, both in front of and behind the camera, at least if Booksmart is any indication. Spider-Woman's an interesting character. One that it's interesting because Spider-Woman, despite her name, has basically absolutely nothing to do with Spider-Man, which is, pretty atypical for, usually you start with the male version of a character, and then you get the woman or the girl version of it, as they name them, and they're kind of usually the same character, but kind of gender swaps,
right?
And that's kind of more or less it. Whereas Spider-Woman rather is a bit different. She basically doesn't really have like spider powers, more or less. She does and she doesn't, but it's again not like the typical Spider-Man-esque powers that you'd think about. So the most common Spider-Woman is Jessica Drew. She's got strength, super strength. But she can glide. She's got, I think she can project like energy blasts and stuff like that. And she basically has no real ties in terms of characterization or character to Peter Parker. She's like, it's not Peter Parker's cousin that got bit by the same spider 5 minutes later, or, it's nothing like that. She's pretty much her own kind of character. So it's an interesting direction to go to, this is kind of, with Sony, particularly, they've obviously crafted what is so far their universe of Marvel characters is around characters that are inherently related to Spider-Man. Venom, obviously, although I guess they made a Venom movie that has no reference to Spider-Man, is usually pretty intrinsically linked to Spider-Man, given that he forms from one of Spider-Man's costumes. Morbius, again, remains to be seen, I guess, if they plan to do that, but traditionally a Spider-Man villain as well. I think they are doing a Craven movie for some fucking reason, and also a Spider-Man villain. So this is a little bit more unique.
I don't know why you would have a Craven movie independent of Spider-Man. That could make one badass freaking Spider-Man, wouldn't it?
Blows my mind. I think Spider-Man 3 with Tom Holland should have Craven as the villain. I'm going to be disappointed if it doesn't, but who knows with fucking Sony? Who knows? My point being that, this is kind of an interesting direction for Sony of, let's do something with a character that's not really super connected, or at least shouldn't be super connected, somewhere they could have the free reign to just kind of do their own thing, and it actually makes sense to do so. Now, what's weird is I don't understand the rights situation as far as Spider-Woman is concerned, because I was under the impression that she was partially owned by Marvel, and thus under Disney,
right?
But I guess something to do with her Spider-Man connection, however loose it may be, means that Sony may have some partial ownership here. So there's some speculation that this could be a kind of co-production between Marvel Studios and Sony in the way that the Spider-Man movies themselves are, but there's no confirmation on that. But if that is indeed the case, if Kevin Feige's involved, that actually makes me immensely more confident and the potential of this, which it isn't to doubt Olivia Wilde. I think that this could be something, even if it is Sony only effectively, but Sony only does not inspire confidence, and it has not inspired confidence thus far. But I think that if this is something that, I think if it reaches the full potential of what a Spider-Woman film could be with a talented director, I think I'm interested in it. So I'm saying all that as background material so that you have a little bit of a base to go off of when I ask you, is this anything that you'd be down for, anything you care about, or are you kind of just meh at this point? Or hell no?
So I don't know a lot about Spider-Woman. While you were going on, I pulled up the wiki, and I read a little bit about origins and stuff, which the origins of her powers seem a little strange. I don't know. She sounds kind of like a strange character,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
So I'm going to say much like Morbius. Not much like Morbius. I take that back. It's got potentially a very good director. And I haven't seen her original movies. It's got a very good actress behind the camera there. And I think she caught a lot of her movie that she came out with was pretty critically acclaimed, right? Booksmart?
Yeah, it was great. Loved it.
You loved it? Okay, see, I've never seen it. So I'm going to say that, a good person that knows how to tell a story can tell a story no matter what it is, as long as there's good stuff there. You know what I mean? So
right.
we'll see what happens. Give me a trailer.
Okay. All right. I think that's a solid take. Okay. So let's see. Moving on. Some news. We can probably be pretty brief with this one here. Altered Carbon, a show that once upon a time we covered its first season way back in the early days of Watch, Review, Repeat. Netflix says, sayonara, we've canceled it. We do not want a third season. So that's it. Altered Carbon is no more. It is done.
Did you watch season 2?
Second season aired, I think, earlier this year. Again, time, don't understand it. But I watched, I think, 2 episodes of the second season, and it felt like such a drastic drop in quality that I felt compelled to go no further. So for me, this is no big loss. And I don't think the first season was perfect, but I did like the universe, and I thought that like the story it told was pretty neat, pretty cool. And I liked the approach of season 2, kind of recasting Kovacs, doing its own thing. But it just felt, it's so weird for me because, season 1, let's just say, was pretty graphic, lots of nudity. It was very adult in terms of feel and style and not safe for work type vibe. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Season 2 felt like the CW version of it.
Oh, no. Oh.
Like just very, like it felt PG-13, I don't know. It felt neutered in a big way in terms of the universe, in terms of the characterization. And it might have been still violent. I can't remember that. Although, in America, violence is fine. You can get away with hyper-violence in pretty much most things. I don't know. It sucks, I think there was also an anime. I never watched that. I think that came out on Netflix as well. Maybe that was cool. I don't know. But for me, that second season, from what I watched, maybe it got better. From what I read, it didn't sound like it was going to. I kind of just bailed, and I don't think I'm going to go back. So,
Well, I haven't gone back, so it's not.
There's going to be no season 3 to compel us either. So, yeah. So anyway, I say no big loss. What about you?
No big loss. Other? Nope, it's totally fine.
Yep. So, see you, Altered Carbon. Appreciate what you did for us in the early days, but I guess that's that. All right. So, are you ready for something? Are you ready for something a little wild? This is wild in, I think, more ways than one.
Yeah, let's see. What do we got?
So it's time for the return of our famous segment, the box office breakdown.
Box office breakdown. You got to say
box office breakdown.
Wah, wah, wah. I can't even do my hockey horns. It's been so long since I've been to a hockey game.
We're out of practice. I mean, it's been so long since you've been to hockey. It's been so long since there's been a box office breakdown.
It's been so long since there's been a fucking box office.
Correct. Theaters are, by and large, back open. I think the figure that I'm seeing is that as of this past weekend, 62% of all theaters were open, with auditorium capacity restrictions in place, ranging from either 25% capacity to 50% capacity, depending on the political stance of your governor.
Florida has 100% capacity.
I think even Florida is limited. But yes, that's more or less how it goes. The New Mutants fucking is in theaters.
No way. What a time
realsies.
To release. I feel like Disney took a we're going to release it now. Hopefully nobody goes to it.
My understanding is that the New Mutants was contractually obligated to release in theaters, and so I'm expecting they were just like, it makes what it makes. We don't give a shit. We'll dump it on a streaming service once this contract has been fulfilled, because to breach this contract will be more expensive than to lose all of the money that we've already lost on it, and that we will lose by just dumping it in theaters and irresponsibly sending people to get sick. So the New Mutants It was in theaters, and it made a grand total of $7 million over the weekend.
Oh my gosh.
I'm kind of two minds about, in the sense that under normal circumstances, $7 million in a weekend is dreadful, especially for a Fox movie that is about mutants, X-Men universe, etc. Horrendous. Obviously horrendous. And I don't even want to say a post-COVID world, because we're not. It's a current COVID world with theater restrictions in place, where theaters are maybe open or maybe not, depending on where you are. $7 million doesn't seem actually like the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
I wish somebody could do the figure out what the algorithm, what is the capacity for movie theaters to make, right? If every showtime over the course of a weekend was sold out across the U.S. or whatever, what would those box office numbers look like?
Like what you're saying, like what the max capacity, box office potential period is?
Exactly. For a COVID time.
I don't know. That's good. Yeah, that way you could get like some sort of measure of like, oh, you could translate that to, okay, under normal circumstances,
right? And I feel like I mean, do we even know what the like capacity is for numbers is with a 100% full tilt, everything's open? Do we know what that number is?
I don't know what it is. I'm sure someone could do the math if they haven't already, but assuming, every single show time of all time is sold out, et cetera. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, which obviously is never going to happen. Even the Avengers of the world can't make that happen. But I don't know. Lots of money. Certainly more than $7 million. That's for sure. Certainly more than, I guess, $200+ million, which is what our current record holder. So, probably I would guess somewhere in the neighborhood of $300 to $400 million. Probably even more than that, just because I don't know. I'd say somewhere that no more than $500 million, but somewhere between 300 and 500. That would be my guess. I would say,
but a lot more than 7.
Yes, a lot more than 7. So like I said,
what have you read about this movie since it's been released? Because I assume you haven't seen it yet, right?
Well, I don't think either of us have taken a trip to the theaters.
No,
which is something that I'll touch on in just a second. I have read some reviews. Some are mixed. Some are say it's fine, it's okay, it's whatever. The Rotten Tomatoes score, I think, is sitting in the 30s right now, which is only from 49 reviews. So it's pretty, not a lot of critics have seen it either. And there's a reason for that, and that's because Disney has chosen to not screen this movie for critics. They've chosen to not give them... The only way critics can see this movie is if they pay their own money or pay the money of whatever company they're working for and go see it in a theater. And why that's problematic in terms of getting critics to see your movies is a lot of critics have said, fuck no, we're not going to a theater. I sent you an article maybe a week ago, roughly, somewhere around there, from the AV Club with the headline reading, "Please don't go to a movie theater, quote, it's just about the last thing I'd do right now, says expert." And so I think it's worth at least flagging this. Theaters are open. It's nothing stopping it at this point, barring, executive orders or governors taking action to kind of, roll back openings and stuff like that, which for better or for worse, read for worse, this nation is it's content to just ride out people getting sick and dying until a vaccine comes along. And hopefully that is the magic cure for this country. So theaters are open, fine, whatever. That it is what it is. People are free to make their own decisions and contribute to the economy if they feel so inclined at the risk of getting sick. It's entirely up to the people. We live in a free country.
America.
Our liberty is not being infringed, etc. Say what you want. But a few experts, doctors, people that go to school for this sort of thing, understand viruses, have a little bit more understanding, hopefully, of the coronavirus and COVID-19, the disease, have an understanding of how this virus can transmit. And basically, the idea is if you're in a movie theater, you're in a closed box where there's no windows, there's no ventilation, the air circulating is the same air that you've been breathing for hours and hours, and probably if you're going to a later showtime, people have been breathing for hours and hours before you, and it's just going round and round and round, and hey, maybe you're wearing a mask, but the guy sitting a row down from you, chomping on his popcorn and 54-ounce Diet Coke, he's not wearing a mask.
That motherfucker's not wearing... If he's not wearing a mask, that motherfucker's drinking regular soda. He's not drinking diet.
Well, I mean, it's hard to wear a mask and eat food at the same time, regardless of the soda of your choosing. So the point being, people, droplets are flying, things are going into the air. They're getting into the air, circulation. They're circulating back into that closed box. It's just a vessel for...
I'll be honest with you, Colton. I'll be completely honest with you, okay? I've been dying to go to a movie theater, and I know you have too.
Absolutely.
But I have...
100%.
I have a lot of... Being in Florida, I have a lot of opportunity to go to the theater. I don't even know if I need to pre-order the ticket to go to the movie theater. I bet I could just show up and get into the movie theater.
I bet you could.
And you sent me that article, and I say this in front of the listeners, in front of the world of the internet. I was going to go see Bill and Ted in theaters. I figured it would be a good, lighthearted movie. I've had a long week because last week was long as well. This week's panning out to be a long week. And it's like, you know what? I could really just use a movie theater to go. A couple of Long Islands and a movie theater. That sounds like vacation. That sounds perfect. And I read that article from the AV Club. And damn it, I didn't go to the movie theater. I watched it at the house. So I just feel, it was like the first time I put on a mask. I feel like I'm finally socially responsible. I feel like it's socially responsible to not go. As much as I want to support the movie theaters, as much as I personally selfishly want to go to a movie theater, I couldn't bring myself to do it. It felt irresponsible doing it. So I don't know, not to discredit people that go, because damn it, I'm right there with you. I mean, I was toting the line. Tenet, I might draw the line and go on Tenet. I might go see Tenet and just sit at the very back of the theater. But I don't know. It's a hard thing to do.
So what I will say is, yes, I'm right there with you. I want to go see things in theater. I didn't need to see Bill and Ted in a theater. I didn't need to see the New Mutants in theaters.
I definitely don't need to see that in theaters.
Tenet, yeah, I want to see that in theaters, and I want to see that in IMAX, and I want to see that, and I want to see that any way that I can. But the reality is, I can't tell you what to do. I cannot tell you being Andrew, and I cannot tell you being the listener what to do with your lives. You are free to make your own decisions, as much as the government is allowing you to make those decisions in these current times. I just kind of put this out there to just put a little bit of information out there to say, hey, be considerate, think about what you're doing. I guess at least wear a mask if you're going to be in a theater.
Be a mask and probably just don't get concessions, right?
And I think there's a way that theaters could open, but theaters make their monies from concessions, and they're fucking hurting this year because of the lack of box office.
They're hurting really bad.
I understand if you're a corporation, you're an AMC or you're Regal, you're absolutely opening up your concession stand because you have to justify being open, because box office alone will not do that. You're going to probably expect a reduced attendance just in general. I mean, even when Tenet opens, I'm sure it'll make more than $7 million because it's not the New Mutants, but it's not going to make what it would in ordinary times. And so you're already looking at a reduced, cash
flow
attendance. Cash flow, right? And so you need whatever source of revenue you can generate at this point, which is absolutely going to be from your concessions. So I get it from that standpoint, but it's just one of those things where, for me, as much as I want to see Tenet, it's hard for me to justify the risk, because that's what it is. I think that's what you have to say is, do I want to assume the risk by coming here? And if you think that getting sick, potentially, not guaranteed, obviously, but putting yourself at a higher risk of getting sick, getting infected, potentially infecting others, maybe you're fine. Maybe your friend's not. Maybe your family's not. For me, it's an awful big ask.
It is a huge risk. You know how bad I'd feel if I got sick and maybe I was asymptomatic and I didn't know. Maybe I never know I make anybody sick. But then I go to the movie theater or whatever and I pick it up or whatever and I'm asymptomatic and I bring it home to Sarah. And Sarah gets sick. You know, it's just really, there's a lot of fucking things that you got to think about. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got to think about it when you go to work. When I go to work on a 6-day-a-week basis, I have to think about it, you know. But that's not I guess, I don't think that it's not really an option. I mean, I guess maybe it is an option, but it's not. You know what I mean? I have to be there. I have to go to work. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's a hard time. It's a hard time for movie theaters. Anyways,
it's a tough time in general. You know, we can harp on this all night,
especially when it comes to the option of going. Now we have the fucking option to go.
The option's in your hands. Yes, it hasn't been for months, and now that it's been months since we haven't,
it's like fighting an addiction.
Hasn't even been
it's like, yes, God damn it, I want to go. I want to go real bad. But I have to say, I know somebody personally that's been to a couple of showtimes. I've been to a couple movies since Florida's opened up, or since the theaters have opened up in Florida, and they've gone to a couple movies. They saw New Mutants and they saw Bloodshot, which I don't know. I wouldn't sacrifice anything for Bloodshot, but
don't go to a theater to see fucking Bloodshot. Jesus Christ, I can tell you that right off the bat.
Absolutely
do not do that.
But they did. You know, and that person was desperate to go to a movie theater too, and that's what they've done. And they've been an advocate for supporting local theaters. Support local theaters. You know what I mean? They're having a tough time, and I get it. But man,
it's
tough. It's tough.
As with anything in 2020. Everything is a risk, and you have to calculate the risk, and you have to wonder how comfortable you are going to be with the risk to yourself and the risk to others. And so that's maybe the last thought that I'll say is,
boom.
It's not about you. It's about everyone else too. That you will pass by in the streets, that you will work with in an office, that you will, go to classes with. Maybe you're fine. Maybe they're not. Just keep that in mind as you make decisions about whether, do I need to see the New Mutants today? Looking at Rotten Tomatoes, the answer is probably you could do without it your entire life.
The harder question is, can I go without Tenet? That's the hardest
question. Can I go without Tenet? Well, we do have a trailer upcoming that we'll talk about. So we'll see. We'll see if we can resist the urge. But anyway, yes, let's put a pin in it there. Let's talk about some trailers. We got 4 kind of regular trailers to talk about. We'll start with Death on the Nile. Was the first of those to come along. A sequel to Murder on the Orient Express with Kenneth Branagh reprising his role as Hercule Poirot, and his lovely mustache makes an appearance at the end of this trailer.
Fuck yeah, it does.
This is coming to theaters. Another movie coming to theaters, October 23rd. A couple months away. Maybe things are a little better then. Who's to say? But another Agatha Christie adaptation, murder mystery sort of thing with all-star cast. What do you think about the trailer?
I thought the trailer was outstanding.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I will preface this. No, I'm not even going to preface it. I think it was truly an outstanding trailer. I thought it was really fucking good. I like the monologue that exists throughout the trailer composite. Like, the trailer was just made really, really well, I think. He's got like a 2-minute monologue or whatever. You know what I mean? It seems like a speech that he's giving in part of the story, or part of the movie. And it looks striking from a cinematographic point of view.
Yes.
It looks well acted. It's got a star-studded cast. And I'm a big fan of Kenneth
Branagh.
Yes. I was going to just cut it off at his first name, but yes, Kenneth Branagh.
Gilderoy Lockhart.
Yes. I am a big fan of him. I think he's a fabulous actor, and I think he's a great director. And I think this is going to be an outstanding movie. It's my 2 cents. At least from the marketing. I'll cut you off.
Yes.
The marketing team is on point. Whoever did the marketing of this movie, I don't understand why we can't have them do the marketing for the time loop movie we watched, or any other I think I like the marketing of that one. I think I can't remember any of the bad marketing movies that we always talk about that end up being good movies. I don't know why they can't have the marketing team of this movie.
So what you're saying is Netflix needs to hire
A good marketing team.
whoever
That's
cut this trailer. Yes, I can get behind that. I think it looks great. I think we both enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express, if I'm not mistaken.
Thoroughly, yes.
A few years, covered it as well. Really enjoy, yes, Kenneth Branagh, both in front of and behind the camera. I think the cinematography here looks stunning. I feel like this is one of the most iconic of Agatha Christie's novels. That said, never read it, so I don't know who did it. I don't know who done it, but I am very, very much into this. I think the cast alone is enough to get me there. But, just visually speaking, looking at this trailer, it feels like this could be better than Murder on the Orient Express. Obviously, I think for this type of movie, it's going to come down to the story, but I think in terms of just what we could see from the trailer, this has all the pieces.
Are the Agatha Christie movies like the Hardy Boys? Like just like every book was like just like a one-off like mystery that he has to solve.
Yeah, I think that's the gist of it. Is it's you have the unifying character, the detective, who is investigating whatever crime or crimes has happened, and other than that, the cast of characters is different. Setting is different. So, you've got one constant and everything else is kind of a variable, I think, is how
many books
kind of her formula.
Do you know how many books Agatha Christie has written with this dude, Hercule, being the detective?
I don't... I'm looking it up now. Holy shit. I was going to guess somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 20, but 33 novels, apparently.
Oh, so we got a lot... there's a deep well to draw from.
So Kenneth Branagh's got he needs to pick up the pace is what's going on here.
Is Murder of the Orient the first one?
If he wants to adapt them all. Yes, that was the first one that he did. I don't know. In terms of publishing order, I'm not sure where things kind of fall. But
you said that you think that the Murder on the Nile is the most, or Death on the Nile is the most iconic of the Agatha Christie books, or do you know?
I might be just. I feel like I've heard things about it. I think it's been adapted at least a few times in the past, and so maybe that's why I'm thinking like this is not the first time that it's been given like a big cinema.
Gotcha.
treatment.
Okay, I understand.
So I know I've heard the Death on the Nile. I've heard about I've heard this. Haven't read the book, but I feel like somewhere in my subconscious I'm like, oh, that rings familiar for
Gotcha.
some reason. So yes. I'm kind of speaking a little bit out my ass, but something about it just, I think that this, I mean, for them to make this, I guess, it wasn't the first movie to be fair, but, to make this the next one clearly means that there's something about it that's compelling or something about it that's going to hopefully be appealing for audiences if they can go to theaters and stuff. So yeah, October 23rd.
We're both excited.
If we can step into theaters, we'll absolutely watch it. If we can't step into theaters, then we'll watch it some other time. It's kind of the bottom line. So the next trailer we have it's the final trailer for Tenet, opening Thursday, September 3rd, quote unquote, where theaters are open for this trailer. And it has opened overseas, I will say, $53 million opening worldwide, 40 offshore markets in Canada, where theaters are a little bit safer to step foot in. What a concept. So naturally, more people are going and spending more money, and more money is being made. That's kind of how it works. Yeah, this is another trailer. I almost debated not even putting on this list, because ordinarily, if I was going to see the movie in a week's time, I wouldn't want to watch another trailer for it. I'd say fuck it, I'll just go in and I've seen a few other trailers. I get it. I'll experience the movie and great, we'll be good to go. I don't know when I'll see this movie. Maybe you break down and see it. I'm trying to hold true to my convictions, what I just preached for, probably almost too long just now. So I watched this trailer. I still have no idea what the fuck's happening in this movie. I've been told from people that have seen it overseas that they also still have no idea what the fuck's happening in this movie, and they can't understand most of what's happening in this movie.
You know people that have seen this movie overseas?
I wouldn't say I personally know them. I've read accounts of people that have read this, that have seen this movie in the overseas markets where it's now playing. The consensus seems to be the plot is a little convoluted, as you might expect from weird Nolan time travel, maybe not time travel, but
time manipulation.
Manipulation, yes, that's maybe a better way of putting it. But I've also heard that it shares some commonalities with some of his recent films that have been plagued by a certain audio mixing issue, in the sense that there are frequent scenes in this movie of characters wearing masks, and the way that the dialogue is mixed, you cannot understand a fucking thing that they're saying, which I've been told is very frustrating because a lot of times that dialogue is very exposition heavy and kind of crucial to understanding the plot. And so people have left the cinema feeling pretty lost about what they just watched. So he's had that issue with Bane, Bane in Dark Knight Rises. That was a big one of just being like, what? What's this guy saying? What? Burn! Dunkirk, I almost feel like is an exception because I think it had the same issue, but at least it had the excuse of being like, hey, this is a wartime movie where, loud gunfire is happening. And so if you can't hear someone that's 5 feet away from you, it kind of makes sense because the people in the moment might not hear that. But for something like this that is pretty plot heavy, that could be problematic, as you might expect. And so I'm bringing this up as a way of justifying to myself, additionally beyond just health concerns, why I don't want to see this in theaters right away. Because I want to see this in theaters as soon as possible, obviously. At least I'll say I want to see this movie as soon as possible. If this was offered video on demand day one, you bet your ass I'd be buying it and watching it that way. But I have to pull on any excuse possible to say, no, I can't see it in theaters. I'm not going to do it. I'm putting my foot down. I'm not doing it. But anyway, what'd you think about this trailer, I guess, if nothing else? I mean, I'm sure you're excited about the film. That goes without saying. Is there anything in this trailer that particularly grabbed you?
I think this is once again a very well-made trailer. I liked how
different feel than the previous ones, too.
Yeah, I got some some Q and James Bond vibes from that lady in describing to him. Like, I feel like that's where your exposition on the mechanics is going to happen.
Yeah.
I really do like how they kept with the soundtrack of the trailer. I don't know the song, but they kept talking about tennis. So I think it's interesting. I don't know how time relates to tennis, how it keeps, ricocheting back and forth. At one point, he talked about catching the bullet versus shooting the bullet. So just the thought of that sounds intriguing. I think it sounds incredibly intriguing. I have read where Nolan does appear to be kind of, he does sound kind of douchey about the way he's going about the marketing of this. Like
he's a little up his own ass. Too much, I think.
I read somewhere where he said that this was going to be the savior of cinema. It's like, wow, you got to be really, like, way up there, up in that own ass, to call it the savior.
Can't smell too good. Can't smell too good.
So that's kind of shitty. It's like, Nolan, you don't have to be a dick. Like, yeah, you make incredible movies, but don't be an asshole. Kind of sounds like he's being a little bit of an asshole. But, he's probably just salty just because he made an awesome movie. What could be an awesome movie, and it's getting shit on by the corona. He's probably incredibly salty. I don't
understand why Nolan feels so special that, like, he can't just, like... I just think if I was a filmmaker, and this has happened with so many movies in 2020, it's just like, we're just going to put it out in 2021 when things are okay. Like, why does Nolan have to be like, no, you must see this as soon as possible and endanger yourself to do so? It's just like, dude, just, like, put it out in, like, March. And, like, then people can, like, hopefully be in a normal life, go see it and enjoy it the way you want them to enjoy it. Instead of just being like I just don't understand the approach of, let me rush this out to cinemas so that people can potentially die to see my movie. Like, you're just a fucking asshole, right? You know,
he's kind of being an asshole. I would agree with you. As much as I want to see it, as much as I think it looks like a really intriguing movie, as much as I think it looks really awesome with the way they dial back time and everything, I think it looks really, really fucking cool. There's one sequence in this trailer where I just know it's filmed in IMAX. I don't know if the whole thing's filmed in IMAX, but there was like
I'm not sure.
There was like a panning cityscape, and it just brought me back to Dark Knight. And it's like, oh man, I just want to go see that in IMAX. And with the sound design and everything that's in this trailer, it also compels me to want to see it in fucking IMAX, and I just get really fucking hyped. But once again, you know, it's just Corona, you know. So I don't know. I think Tenet's going to be really fucking cool, and it's sad that it had to come out in this kind of world.
It is what it is. They're obviously committed to it actually coming out this time, and I guess so be it. My hope, honestly, is that they let it play for a month or so in theaters, and then start rolling out some VOD options. You know, they can keep it in theater. This could absolutely have a Titanic style, run where it's in theaters for 6 months, because why not? You know, what else is going to be playing type thing, but. I hope that they'll offer alternative solutions sometime down the road, not too far down the road.
We'll see. Anyways, next trailer. What do we got?
We'll see. Next trailer is for a Netflix film called Enola Holmes, with Millie Bobby Brown playing the younger sister of Sherlock Holmes, as portrayed by one Henry Cavill. She's doing Sherlock Holmes thing. And
she's breaking that third wall, or the fourth wall, whatever.
The fourth wall, yeah. It's just she's talking to that camera a lot. There's a lot of camera talking in this fucking trailer. I mean, half this trailer is just talking to the camera. Anything that interests you?
And I would say if half this trailer is her talking to the camera, the other half just looks like shit. I'm not excited I'm not excited about this at all. So not
even a Henry Cavill Sherlock Holmes that doesn't do it for you?
No, it didn't do it for me at all. I don't know why. I don't know. So far we had Death in the Nile. Peaked out. I'm so excited. We got Tenet. Oh my God, I can go see it in theaters. I'm so excited. And then this trailer, and I'm like, fuck, that looks bad. I don't have any interest in seeing this.
I'm wondering if this will be an entertaining movie, but also a bad trailer. Because this is Netflix. We just talked about the marketing team not knowing how to fucking cut trailers. And I feel like it's been Netflix. It's always been the culprit with that shit of just being like, wow, this is a horrendous trailer for what is actually a pretty decent film. And so I'm hopeful that maybe that is what is going to happen here. This is another one. I mean, Netflix is packed to the gills with September releases. They've got I'm Thinking of Ending Things is like a week away. The Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson movie, Devil All the Times, mid-September. And this is a week later. You know, so I don't know. I guess if Netflix can go at least 2 for 3 in terms of those 3 movies, that'd be okay. I think we're suspecting this might be the third of it that might not pan out so well. But again, trailers are what they are. So
2 or 3 is pretty good, right? That's a 60.
This is one of those things where, you know, COVID times, maybe this is something we might have to slot in. But I think what I'll do, I think what maybe we should do is wait for reviews. If the reviews start to come out and they're like, oh yeah, this is real bad, then maybe we'll be like, okay, we'll pass.
We're going to do Chadwick Boseman. If the reviews are
surprisingly... yes, absolutely. That is something we could just do. Yep, That's a very, very valid point. But maybe if the reviews do pan out to being a little bit better than expected for this, at least how we expect it, maybe it's something we cover. We'll see. Good to know that neither of us are super thrilled about it. Okay. September 23rd, Netflix, for anyone that is. Last but not least, in terms of the news, in terms of the trailers, this is another Netflix project, but this is a series, not a movie. The Haunting of Bly Manor. Teaser trailer, follow-up to 2018 series The Haunting of Hill House, which I never watched. Not sure if you did. Heard it was excellent, but
never saw it.
Didn't watch it. We got a minute plus of footage here. Was this anything that did it for you?
Looked pretty scary there.
Coming in October.
I had the lights off in this man cave when I was watching that trailer, and I had my beer on my stomach. And I was a little scared I was going to get jump scared, and so I had to put the beer on the desk to make sure I didn't
didn't want to spill it everywhere. Yeah.
Did look like it has the potential to be kind of scary.
A little spooky.
Does it look like anything really different? No.
Yeah. Right, yeah. But at the same time, if you're not going to a theater for some scary shit, maybe you're watching it on your TV at home.
Maybe it'll scratch an itch. I don't know. Maybe that the series that it sprung from might scratch an itch.
I think The Haunting of Hill House got really good reviews.
It did.
I think this is from the same creator. So it's,
I don't know. It might be,
I
don't know. We'll see.
Could be something. Yeah. I mean, come October, I think we're always going to be in the mood for some good horror. And if this absolutely, as you said, scratches the itch, then yeah, why not? I agree. It doesn't seem to be moving the needle in any sort of significant direction in terms of, wow, this is groundbreaking horror or anything like that. But at the same time, good horror is good horror. And honestly, it's a rarity,
That is true.
I think
good horror is hard to make, yes.
Good horror is hard to crack. And so if even if this is using well-established conventions and tropes, as long as it's doing it well, honestly, that can be okay sometimes too.
It's more than most, right? So
exactly. Okay. Any other thoughts on The Haunting of Bly Manor?
No, let's move into that DC FanDome.
Oh, DC FanDome. We've got a lot of
DC FanDome.
Is that the hype man? Is that the DC FanDome hype man that I hear coming in? Yeah, DC FanDome. It was a online fan convention. Weird COVID times. DC says, "Hey, we're not going to Comic-Con. We're doing our own fucking online event, basically." And they brought some goods. They brought some serious things, and
good for them. Good for them.
Yeah, we appreciate it because not only did they do this, they put all their shit online on YouTube immediately after, so we can all watch it and talk about it, which is great, So DC FanDome, very briefly, it's just an online convention held from DC Comics. Basically, is a way to give information about DC-based content, including upcoming films, TV shows, comic books, video games, and they pretty much gave us all of that and then some. So we're obviously going to be focusing more specifically on film and TV, I think almost 90% film. But they did announce a couple video games. I don't know if you saw, I'm just throwing it out there. I didn't ask you to watch trailers. There was a Gotham Knights video game that's coming out where you play as Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and
I did see that Hood, in some gameplay.
Which I think looks pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah, Court of Owls in there, which is neat. Just read the first arc about them, which is pretty neat. There's a Suicide Squad game coming out as well from the creators of the Batman Arkham games, which I'm a little bit less thrilled about. But, Rocksteady's done good work in the past. Maybe they got some good work coming out with that game. But I think what we're here to talk about is the latest in film and television, and so that's where we'll go next. So something that actually dropped a little bit ahead of the DC FanDome convention was that Ben Affleck is not done playing the Batman. He is going to be playing Bruce Wayne and the Batman one more time in the upcoming Flash film, which is pretty interesting. I think people assumed that...
Let's just be clear. Let me be clear, I should say. I don't hate Ben Affleck as Batman. I think Ben Affleck can play a good, old, tainted, fucking grouchy-ass Batman. I think he can be a good Dark Knight Batman.
I think he did play a good Batman in Batman v Superman.
He did.
Less so in Justice League, but, fine. Not that.
I like Ben Affleck. I think he's a great actor, and I think he's got the chops to play fucking Batman. Give him some good shit to work with, though. Please give him something good. Give him something compelling. Let him know the character. You know what I mean? I feel like Ben Affleck knows Batman.
I think Ben Affleck, obviously was kind of a reviled choice when it was announced because, he's not the first thought, when it comes to Batman. But I was a fan of his casting when it was announced. I was a fan of his iteration of the character in a bad movie, in Batman v Superman, and his iteration of it in Justice League and another bad movie was actually, I think, pretty bad. But some of that was, I think, Ben Affleck went through a hell of a time filming Justice League. He had He was going through divorce, I think had severe alcohol issues, went to rehab since, and I think Ben Affleck is living his best self right now, given that he's currently dating Ana de Armas. And is, I think he's away from the alcohol. Like Ben Affleck he's honestly feeling pretty good right now. And I think what happened with Batman specifically is he was, he got saddled with 2 shitty movies that he was in. He was going to make his own movie. He was going to be in the Batman, writing and directing it and starring in it. And then his personal life basically collapsed all at once. And so he made the responsible decision to step away from it. And so we'll talk about the Batman in a little while, which we got a trailer for, that went in a totally different direction. New director, new writer, new Batman. Ben Affleck got his shit together. And now we're coming, full circle in a sort of way where there's a Flash movie that is already getting weird. Michael Keaton coming back to play the 1989 Batman. And basically the writers and director, I think, behind it basically were just like, why don't we just ask Ben Affleck and see if he's willing to do this? We're doing a weird multiverse movie. Why don't we just get the actual Batman that goes with this particular Flash and see if he's willing to come back and do a movie? And to their surprise, he said, yeah, I'll do it. And I think it's because Ben Affleck has spent time away from the character, only a couple years, but I think he's in such a better headspace now that him dropping in for probably a couple weeks of filming on a movie where he's not responsible for almost every facet of everything is it's not such a heavy lift, and it's something that says, yeah, fuck it, I'll do it. And I think that's really cool because I do like Ben Affleck himself. I do like the Ben Affleck Batman. I just wish he was in better circumstances with better projects, that he was involved in, where the characterization was better and he wasn't, subject to Zack Snyder's horrific whims. And that's what this hopefully, pretends to be, right? Is a weird, wonky Flash movie with Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck. And, I don't know. I think that sounds great. I really, really like this idea of keeping that weird loose continuity and then having crazy shit happening with Michael Keaton's Batman coming in. Cool, right?
Cool.
I mean,
yeah.
You feel the same way?
I do feel the same way. Of course, it could be a really shit Flash movie too, coming from DC, so we'll see.
That's true. Well, we'll see on that front, but I like the zaniness that they're trying to go with, for this Flash movie. And I think this kind of shows that they are trending in the right direction with it. Now, DC FanDome brought us a couple pieces of concept art for the Flash. Have you had a chance to take a gander at those by any chance?
No, but I will certainly look it up while you talk.
All right, I'll send you a link just so you can follow along.
Nice.
So yes, they put out 2 pieces of concept art for this upcoming Flash movie in which they revealed that he's going to get a new suit, which, great. The Batman v Superman Justice League suit was horrendous. Never want to see it in my life again. And so we kind of see that it looks a little bit more traditional to the comics. A little too many gold glowy things coming from the emblem. Fine, whatever. But the second piece of concept art shows him fighting alongside a costumed Michael Keaton Batman.
That looks cool as shit.
Which is fucking awesome because I think obviously the news of Michael Keaton being involved in this project was kind of a bit of a mindfuck to begin with, right? And I think at least I assumed that it would just be old grizzled Bruce Wayne, but Bruce Wayne, not Batman. But if we're seeing true proper Batman action, hell yes. Hell yes. That sounds awesome. So it's going to be directed by Andy Muschietti, who did the 2 It movies most recently.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I don't know. I've said many times, this is a Flash movie that's lost like 17 directors already. It's lost a few screenwriters multiple times, but it almost seems like maybe the pieces are finally starting to click. And I just think the direction that they're taking with this sounds like exactly what I'd want them to do.
I don't know why it would be so hard to make a Flash movie.
It shouldn't be, right? The TV show managed to accomplish, at least for maybe 2 to 3 seasons, depending on your perspective. But, it's
I just
certainly
think
possible to make this
the
character
way you
work
make
in
a
live
Flash
action.
movie. Obviously, Flash is overpowered, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
you make the Flash the biggest Flash enemy. Then problem solved, right?
Yeah.
It should be pretty. Cut and paste. Just have a troubled character have these ridiculous godlike powers and throw them in a sandbox, right? I mean, I don't, and there's so many different things you can do. So yeah, I'm all about it. Let's just see where it ends up. Hopefully it's not shit.
Hopefully it's not shit. It's the old adage. It's the old watch, review, repeat adage. Hopefully it's not shit.
You heard it here first.
Well, I guess our real adage is, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll throw it at the wall and see if it sticks.
I do think, again, this is another one. I think the pieces are on the board. If they can put them together, this could absolutely be a super fun, really enjoyable film. So we'll see what happens. Now, coming later this year, potentially to theaters, is Wonder Woman 1984, which we got a new official trailer for, which gives us quite a bit of new footage, some serious riding the lightning action.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.
Some Chris Pine humor, and our first look at Cheetah, Kristen Wiig in full CG glory as Cheetah. What'd you think about the trailer? Anything that? I mean, I think we've been excited for this film. That's right. This move the needle in any direction for you?
I think
better or worse.
I think it starts to clearly illustrate what the
plot, maybe.
Yeah, like everybody's getting what they want. Kristen Wiig gets cheetah powers because she wants to be an apex predator or whatever. Mm-hmm. And Wonder Woman gets Chris Pine back because that's who she really wants. I don't know obviously we don't know what the vehicle of those wishes is. You know what
something
I mean?
Something to do with our boy Pedro Pascal.
Yes, it sounds like that might be the case. Riding the lightning is most excellent, I would say.
Excellent.
But other than that, though, I did like the body slam of the cheetah, but she couldn't body slam her because Kristen Wiig slid on her nails, you know? Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It could be cool. It could be really bad. I think it's a really cool trailer, and I'm very optimistic that it's going to be totally awesome. But I could see where I would not enjoy it. Okay. There's a lot of they put the Wonder Woman thing with the truck flipping, and here's Wonder Woman just like up and like doing the traditional DC like floating kind of thing. And so we'll see what happens. But there are elements of this trailer that I thoroughly enjoy. I thoroughly enjoyed the first trailer that came out, so I'm remaining optimistic. I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, that first trailer that came out with it was Blue Monday, right?
Yes, it was exactly Blue Monday. Yes,
man, that was a good trailer. Like, that was just such a really well cut together trailer with awesome music, and just like that instantly sold me on the movie. I don't need more footage to I mean, obviously we would see this anyway, but I'm at the point where this doesn't make me more excited for the film, I guess. You know, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm still in. I'm not lost or anything like that from this. But you know, it's nice to see the cheetah design for me. I was a little worried how that would play out. I don't think we really get a clear grasp of what she's going to look like. The CG looks a little shoddy, but it's the trailer. It's not done type thing is kind of where I'm at with it. But I'm excited that, you know, they're kind of not hiding the ball with that anymore, and we kind of get a sense of like you said, what this film's going to be. And it all sounds pretty cool. I'm excited to see how the elements kind of tie together with Cheetah, with Steve coming back.
Yeah.
You know, the action looks like it's going to be there. Cinematography looks good. Humor. And Patty Jenkins, we trust. She didn't really lead us astray, aside from maybe the third act of Wonder Woman, which may or may not have been her fault anyway. So I'm excited to see where she kind of goes with this updated setting and kind of new characters to play with. I think that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it's October, somewhere. I think it's technically October for theater release right now. Again, we'll see what happens on that front. Now here we come to, I mean, just the biggest trailer of DC FanDome, right? Zack Snyder's Justice League, the 2-minute and 43-second official teaser, because Zack Snyder doesn't know how to do teasers. So he's going to give you 3 minutes of footage.
And It has to be, you talk about trailer making or teaser trailer making or whatever. This is the most corny fucking thing I've ever seen. Like, if we were to make a trailer in sixth grade, I feel like I would have
busting out some Windows Movie Maker, yo.
Yeah, and we're gonna coordinate with Hallelujah, like the Dyer fucking like Cohen fucking Hallelujah song.
Yep.
Hallelujah. We're gonna coordinate Hallelujah with Homeboy ripping off his shirt before he dives in the ocean. You know what I'm talking about? Aquaman.
Yep. Aquaman, yep. Mm-hmm.
As soon as he says hallelujah, he's there ripping off his shirt. Hallelujah. And then, there was more. There was more super corny coordination with the words.
You expect nothing less from the great Zack Snyder, but of course.
I don't know. It looks so fucking bad. I don't know. Like, the moment I saw... Okay, so you get the super CG dude slinging his hammer, right? Dark Side.
Yep.
And then there's Superman like screaming like rah with like lightning and fucking like smoke and all sorts of shit going on. And immediately when I saw Superman, like, I just have no interest. And then as the trailer or the teaser went on, I began to laugh. Like, it's just laughable bad. It feels like Zack Snyder, when he makes these things, it feels like they just feel like The Watchmen was like his thing. And I feel like he's always chasing that lightning. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's chasing Watchmen. Like, you get the thing with like zapping. He had the thing where in the lyric it was like talking about how he says it in front of God or whatever, and there's Superman floating in the cityscape. And then all of a sudden they shoot the laser beam at that block, and then that guy disintegrates, and it looks like maybe it was like Dr. Manhattan, how Dr. Manhattan was created with the blue and stuff. It just, I don't know. I'm totally not buying it. It looks like total shit. That's what I say.
Well, so here's kind of my response to that, which is in no way a defense of Zack Snyder. Is actually affirming what you're saying. I think Watchmen actually fits Zack Snyder's tone. Zack Snyder has a very specific set of sensibilities.
It does. That's why it worked. I like the Watchmen,
and I think that works for Watchmen for the most part. Not everything about his adaptation worked. He fucked the ending, among other things. The casting, I think, was hit and miss, but absolutely the tone of Watchmen is pretty dour. It's pretty downbeat, and it's kind of an indictment of society in general, and that kind of makes sense for Zack Snyder. What doesn't make sense for Zack Snyder is Justice League. A team composed of your Supermans, your Wonder Womans, your Aquamans, Cyborgs, and your Flashes. And Batman is maybe the only one character where I could see Zack Snyder's sensibilities working. And as we've established, I think Affleck's Batman, for the most part, was actually pretty good in BVS. It was kind of the everything else that really, really kind of fell by the wayside, I think. It doesn't work here. There's too many characters that just don't fit here. And absolutely, I don't doubt that this is Zack Snyder's Justice League. But why would anyone want that? I guess is my kind of question that I pose is he doesn't understand any of these characters. There's no color to be found in this entire trailer.
Except
he strips
the blue.
This film of any color it once had.
He's got lightning blue. He's got that down pat.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Light blue and gray and orange, I think, is about it. And black.
And
look,
black.
Justice League, the Whedon cut, was trash. It was a bad movie. But at least Joss Whedon understands color, and he understands these characters in a way I think that Zack Snyder will never pretend to. And I don't know. I mean, I guess if nothing else, this may be more tonally consistent. Superman's face won't look fucked for half the movie. There are certain things. Ben Affleck won't oscillate between being pre-alcoholic Ben Affleck, where he looks great, and post-alcoholic Ben Affleck, where he's bloated and looks horrible and clearly needed to go to rehab. It won't be afflicted by the same things that the Justice League we got were. But I almost think this is going to be worse because of exactly what Zack Snyder wants to do. Zack Snyder left to his own devices, is absolutely, I think, going to be worse than a weird hodgepodge of his work with Joss Whedon's half-assed reshoots work. From the get-go, his dark side looks fucking awful. The CG looks real bad. And if that's how you're opening your trailer, I already know from the get-go that I hate this.
Because that has to be the centerpiece, right? Like him slinging that hammer, that's got to be like why would they open up with that if that was not like the
well, they're clearly making a point like, hey, Darkseid wasn't in the Justice League, but he's in this one. You know, like oh, cool. They're bringing in more villains. Great. You know, kind of thing. And like, yeah, they're making him a centerpiece. He shows up in kind of the far shot that we had previously seen a little bit later. And like, oh, everything in here just looks bad. This all just looks bad. There's no color. It's dull looking. It's already working from the shell of what we already know to be as a bad movie. And then it's cut to this fucking Leonard Cohen song that just doesn't work at all. It's cornball. It's so fucking corny. And it's just real bad. It doesn't work. And this is the second fucking time Zack Snyder has had the tenacity to use this song. It was in the Watchmen film.
Oh, maybe that's why it feels like... I don't know. It feels like a Watchmen trailer. It really does.
Yeah. Well, it was in Watchmen at the time when Night Owl and Silk Spectre have some good times on Archie, the airship. So anyway, I think this looks horrendous. Zack Snyder has confirmed that you can watch it in two different ways. You can watch it as a 4-hour movie, or you can watch it as 4 1-hour episodes, exclusively on HBO Max in 2021. So hey, there you have it, folks. The Snyder Cut. You asked for it. I hate you for it. Goodbye.
That's it.
We're going to watch it. God damn it. We're going to watch it. And we're going to hate every second of it. All right, let's keep this train moving. Official teaser, weird one for Black Adam. Concept art with voiceover from The Rock.
So is the Black Adam a cartoon?
No, this will be a movie. They just haven't shot anything for it.
Oh, okay.
And I don't like, I appreciate that like they were just like, let's make a presence and make sure that people know about this. I'm not sure why they decided to release this like on YouTube officially, being like, here's this weird animated concept art teaser for a thing that's coming out in a year plus time that we haven't shot any lick of footage for. I think that's kind of a weird approach personally. But yeah, it's Dwayne Johnson playing Black Adam, who is basically a anti-hero version of Shazam, has similar power set, basically has the powers granted by the wizard, and sometimes a villain to Shazam, sometimes an ally, you kind of, and someone that his origins are from thousands of years before Shazam's origins are. So he's been around for a while, I think, but imprisoned for most of that time. So was this anything that did anything for you? Like I said, I found it kind of be weird myself, with just being like, this doesn't sell me on anything,
No, not really.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it did do. It plugged in the idea of having a. I don't know if they're gonna have him as a villain to Shazam. I mean, what do you think they're gonna do with that?
Well, I mean, he's getting his own movie, first of all, in which I'm sure he won't be the villain of. I'm sure he'll be at least, an anti-hero, kind of a Venom type approach of like, well, Venom's a villain, but, they obviously still made a movie around him. And
does that happen?
Fine,
does
whatever,
it happen before or after? Does that happen before or after the Shazam that we see?
I'm going to guess probably a bit of both. I'm sure that what they'll probably do is have a good chunk of it set, thousands of years ago to show kind of the origin of Black Adam, and then maybe by the end he's sprung loose in modern times, and that sets the stage for a Shazam versus Black Adam kind of movie, which they did announce. I guess I didn't even actually put that. They announced a Shazam 2. It's called Shazam Fury of the Gods, but my understanding is that still won't have Black Adam in it, so maybe there'll be a third movie that's like kind of a crossover of the two. So yeah, I think that's what they're angling for is, you got The Rock, who obviously is super bankable, makes a fuck ton of money, and good for him, honestly. You want to make sure people know that this thing exists, it's going to happen, and when it does happen, people will have a little bit more knowledge of Black Adam, and then boom, you can kind of put these two things together, and hopefully that makes the big bucks or whatever. I'm sure that's the idea. Like I said, I didn't need this teaser. I would have been more than content to just wait for them to start shooting the movie and, just market it like a normal movie is, but fine, I guess. It's no harm, I guess. I don't know.
No harm, no foul.
It is what it is.
If you got it, flaunt it, I
just found it weird. The Flash gets concept art that they just put in 2 images, and this gets a whole trailer reel put together. I'm like, well, why? Why did this one get that? The other one didn't. Like, what's the angle here? But I don't know. I guess maybe the idea is people don't know who Black Adam is, whereas people presumably know who the Flash is. Maybe that's kind of the reason for those differences. Maybe. Anyway, let's move along. A couple more pieces of news here from DC FanDome. The Suicide Squad, courtesy of one James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy Volumes 1 and 2, writing and directing the Suicide Squad sequel, I guess we'll say, but it really feels like it's just
a reboot,
loose reboot with some of the same casting being carried over from that awful film in 2016. We got 2 things for the Suicide Squad. We first got a roll call, which basically was a rundown of all of the actors in the film and the roles they're going to be playing. And then we also got like a 2-minute extended sneak peek where we got like kind of like a behind the scenes roll of some footage and, things in action. So why don't we start with the roll call? I assume you had a chance to look at this.
I did.
Yeah. What'd you think about this? Is off the bat, obviously Suicide Squad, the movie, we absolutely detest it. No doubt about that.
Awful.
Is there anything in here that you're saying that's grabbing you in a way that, like, you're already the well has been poisoned? Can it be unpoisoned by this?
I think the way that it's unpoisoned seems authentically, at least from this roll call, the way they present the roll call, is authentically a comic book movie.
Mm-hmm. And authentically a James Gunn comic book movie too. Like it feels like no holds barred James Gunn playing fast and loose with a bunch of fucking loser characters and
Polka Dot Man and the Javelin.
Right. Who the fuck? Who are any of these assholes? Right? You know what I mean? So
exactly. And so I think it's got a pretty good cast.
Yeah.
I think it's got a excellent director writing and directing it. Writing and directing it, or just directing it?
Writing and directing.
Writing and directing. I think that it's a solid start. I think that the trailer makes it seem authentically comic book, which is a lot of fun. Not like Zack Snyder, unlike Zack Snyder films.
The antithesis to the Zack Snyder
exactly
school of filmmaking.
And I'm a little bit uneasy about it coming from, Warner Brothers and DC and stuff, but on the same side of the coin, I'm optimistic that James Gunn's behind it. It's got a star-studded cast. It's got an enormous cast. And it could be a lot of fun. So,
yeah. Well, with regard to the sneak peek, which we actually saw a little bit of footage from, is that part of what you're saying now? I mean, is that informing what you're saying? Or is there anything in that stuck out to you?
The sneak peek was kind of cool in the fact that, it's got him, I don't know, saying, it's the biggest movie I've ever made, blah, 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 blah. But really, I think the biggest impact anything's had on me was that roll call.
The roll call, yeah.
With the they introduced like the comic book version of the characters. It's got the actor dressed up in the suit or whatever, their comic book costume. And I don't know, I feel like the roll call was a good way to introduce the film. I think that was a really strong way to do it.
I mean, it right off the bat shows you how ridiculous everything is going to be. And I think that's perfect. And I some of the designs are obviously a bit more ludicrous than others,
but it's totally okay. It feels like it all fits.
I love that. Yeah, I mean it I mean, King Shark, great. Obviously love that. The cast looks pretty stacked. And granted, I'm expecting a few of these people to be in this movie for all of a minute or two before they're blown to high hell. in some horrible fashion. I will say that the weasel reveal really got me. Just absolutely fucked looking.
Did you see him? Did you see him in the sneak peek licking the window?
Yes. Yes.
It's pretty good.
So yeah,
I also think that Idris Elba is totally just picking up a paycheck. He's like, oh, it's totally like a graphic novel. It's like, all right. I don't think he's in it to win it, but it's not like Fula.
He was just in Hobbs and Shaw. He don't give a shit.
Fula's totally in it to win it. Oh, there's like blood and guts and stuff all over the place.
The genitals are being blown up.
He's totally in it to win it. That guy is. I think this is like got to be his first thing, right?
He was in the Pitch Perfect movies, I think.
Oh, okay.
If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. I think the thing for me that makes me so excited about this iteration of the Suicide Squad is that James Gunn seems to understand what the Suicide Squad are about, which is to say they're not here to be killing Superman and whatnot. They're just like here to do some fucking mission in some foreign country, and they're all completely expendable, and there's a million of them, so that, you know, if they get killed, if they're collateral damage, then who gives a fuck? Like, no tears will be shed. And I'm expecting gruesome deaths. I think this is going to be rated R. It feels like it's going to be. It feels kind of grungy and, you know, violent. And,
well, they said in the thing it's like set with like a 1980 action movie, which is totally fucking cool.
Yeah, I just you know, I just everything about it feels like James Gunn understands what the Suicide Squad should be. And that's something that I think the 2016 film just completely miserably failed to understand. And that's in part why it was bad. It was also bad in part because it was just a poorly acted, poorly made piece of trash, but with Jared Leto notably absent from this film. And we thank you, Mr. Gunn, for that. So yeah, I'm actually pretty stoked about this. I think it looks great. And you know, one of my favorite things is, you know, the whole thing with James Gunn, obviously, you know, the internet trolls, the right-wing trolls digging up his past of some less than savory tweets, you know, that he made back in the day that he had apologized for many years prior. Disney kicks him off Guardians Volume 3. DC comes in, swoops in and says, want to make a movie for us? And he says, okay. And so he makes this movie, and he's making this movie. And then Disney comes back around and says, want to make a movie for us still? And he's like, okay. So not only did he continue to make, is going to make Guardians Volume 3, he has now added a huge movie for DC to his resume. I think it's great. So anyway, that particular nugget always just brings a little warmth to my heart, I will say. So that's the Suicide Squad, and that brings us to our final piece of news overall, DC fandom or otherwise, and that is what I will say is arguably best for last. It's the Batman DC fandom teaser trailer. Our first look at Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne and Batman, Zoe Kravitz's Selena Kyle, Paul Dano's the Riddler, Colin Farrell's the Penguin, completely fucking unrecognizable in this trailer.
Absolutely.
Jeffrey Wright's Commissioner Gordon, and the Batmobile.
The fucking Batmobile, holy shit.
So there's a lot that we got in this, which apparently the film was only 25% shot because it had to go into a production shutdown as a result of COVID. I think it's about to start back up. We got a lot of this movie for apparently how little has actually been shot.
Think about that, 25%.
Yeah, I mean, that's insane. I mean, you know, this trailer conveys so much to me, and given how little has been shot, I'm kind of blown away. Look, needless to say, I'm a huge fan of this teaser trailer. I have a multitude of reasons that I can go into, but I'll at the top here just ask you on the same page? How'd you feel about it?
I'm totally about it. Yes. Definitely yes. So I hadn't seen Robert Pattinson in anything really meaningful other than Twilight, which apparently he talks very poorly about, you know, but good for him. If somebody offered me a job on Twilight, fuck yeah, I'll take a job on Twilight. Of course, why wouldn't you?
Gotta build a career somehow.
Absolutely. And so I watched Lighthouse, and that was kind of my gateway to him because I hadn't seen him in anything else, and I was completely blown away by that movie. And so coming into this, I was eagerly waiting to see how I'd feel about him either being Batman or Bruce Wayne. And they are very much playing into the Bruce Wayne aspect in this trailer. There's very little Bruce Wayne. There's a lot of Batman in this.
Yes. Yes.
And I think he makes an excellent Batman.
I think the suit looks great in motion.
The suit looks outstanding in motion.
We saw bits and pieces of it, right? But this is the first time we've really been able to see it in action, in motion. And I think the look just works. I don't know if it's my favorite Batsuit in live action, but it's getting up there. I think kind of need a movie to sit with it.
It's a very practical Batsuit.
Yes,
like the Chris Nolan Batman was like a military spec Batsuit. This Batsuit works in kind of a different form. I think it feels.
It's a little more cobbled together.
Yeah, it feels cobbled together, but it feels more noir, right? Like it feels like detective-like Batman that can kind of kick your ass.
Yeah.
And obviously he does kick a little bit of ass in this.
Does kick a little bit of ass. That's true.
He beats somebody down pretty hard in this trailer.
He put that man into a hospital bed, and he's going to be in a coma for at least a week.
He
didn't kill him though, which is fine.
Eating through a straw. He didn't shoot him, which is good. And he, I've seen a lot of people making fun of it because it looks like, he looks like an emo kid. At the end of it, looks like MCR. The end of it. But I don't know. I don't buy into it. I think it totally fits. I think it leans into that practicality of the suit in the sense that every single live action Batman that we've seen, maybe Adam West aside, has worn black eye makeup around their eyes, underneath the cowl. And there's only been, I think, one. Well, in The Dark Knight, we see him kind of without the hood, and no eye makeup is visible, right? In Batman Returns, there's a scene where Michael Keaton literally rips off the cowl, where we can clearly see that he's wearing makeup underneath it, to show it to Catwoman and Max Schreck. And the way it cuts, there's a split second where you can see right before he rips off the cowl where it's clearly changed to where he doesn't have the eye makeup on underneath. So they're clearly just pretending that he's not wearing makeup and that the suit is just, right onto his eyes and it's fine. I think it makes sense to not pretend it's like Arrow, wore like the grease paint over his eyes, as part of like his costume. It's like, I mean, he's just wearing eye makeup. Like, why do you have to pretend like he's not, and like, it's smeared and like, he's sweaty and shit and his hair's all fucking messed up looking because he's just wearing a big thing that's matting everything down for a while. Like, it's just how it goes. Like, it's it. It's just fucking real life, man.
I tell
you what else is real fucking life is that fucking Batmobile is real fucking life too. That shit is the coolest shit I think I've ever seen on fucking camera. Like, I think that vehicle might be cooler than fucking Mad Max cars.
Is it cooler than the Tumbler?
It's cooler than the fucking Tumbler. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's cooler.
Okay.
I mean, Tumbler's a fucking tank, which is pretty cool. Okay?
Mm-hmm. This is a Batmobile.
This is a fucking Batmobile. Right. And it's shooting plasma out the back end. It's got a jet out the back end. It's spitting fire out of the hood. It looks so fucking cool. And I am very, very excited about that Batmobile. I'm also excited about Jim Gordon.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be an
Jeffrey
excellent
Wright is
Jim
awesome.
Gordon.
Yeah. Excellent pick.
You can hear Schmeagol in the background, which I think is excellent. Like, oh, you've become... Oh, man. I'm excited.
Quite the celebrity, Mr. Wayne, or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. Andy Serkis being fucking...
Alfred.
Fucking
Alfred,
Pennywise. Yeah. Not Pennywise, that's the... Is it Pennywise? Alfred Pennywise?
Pennyworth. Alfred Pennyworth.
Yep. Alfred Pennyworth.
I was going to go with it. Pennywise. Like, yeah, that's right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Pennywise, the dancing butler.
The makeup on Colin Farrell.
It's insane.
It is insane. I've looked at stills over and over and over again of him side by side. I still can't see him in the makeup.
I can see the eyes. That's the only thing that I can see is the eyes. And actually, you hear him in the trailer, and you can hear that it's Colin Farrell because he's getting chased by the Batmobile, and that's him. Like, whoa, this guy's crazy. You know, like that's if you listen for it, you can tell that that's him. But yeah, completely unrecognizable. Basically, otherwise, wild. It's wild that they've just transformed him.
That logo treatment at the end, dude.
Yeah.
Especially with the tone, I feel like they're going super dark, which is cool. It's totally fine. Because it's Batman. It's to be expected. But it appears to be a Batman that's doesn't quite know his place yet. You know, like he's obviously an early Batman.
Right. Yeah.
And it just appears to be just like a nitty-gritty Batman, which is fucking cool. I like a nitty-gritty. Cool. I like a nitty-gritty Batman. I like a nitty-gritty Batman that draws the line at fucking murdering people. Like, yes. Right? Like that's totally, and with that red and black logo, the logo treatment I think is really what does it for me. Like, you know, I'm sitting in this room watching the trailer in the dark and just the whole room goes red with the fucking Batman logo. Oh, dude, it's so good. I am very excited about a really good Batman movie coming out.
I'm incredibly hyped for this. This is maybe jumped to maybe number one on my like most wanted list of things that I'm just most excited about. Obviously, we have a lot of good stuff on the horizon. You know, Dune, we should hopefully be getting a trailer for very soon.
Well, when Dune comes out, we might have a different discussion. I mean...
Right, exactly. But I'm saying, like, what I've seen footage from the Batman, and I need this shit. Every frame in this, just every something in here just works for me. The Riddler take looks really interesting to me.
With the taping?
I think Paul Dano is going to be great.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sound design of the trailer is really good, from the taping in the beginning to just the fucking kind of awesome use of fucking Nirvana. Like,
right?
Great. Really works. And it really works, and it kind of blends into like an orchestral score towards the end with the logo reveal. Jeffrey Wright's Commissioner Gordon is going to be awesome. I think he's going to crush it. I love the way the Batsuit looks and feels. The scene where he just beats the shit out of that goon, and we get the Bat voice, you know, I'm vengeance. Great line, great Batman line, obviously. But the voice, it's like the first time in a long time where the Bat voice has just been like, that's it, he did it right. You know what I mean? Like, it's like almost the first time since like even the animated series where I'm just like, that's fucking Batman. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to Christian Bale, but you know, like that was a heavily memed Bat voice. Affleck went with the modulated robotic voice, which didn't really work for me. Fine, it's not the worst, but this to me feels like, you know, it's like you know, it's just going down an octave basically for Batman without resorting to ridiculously for it. It just sounds natural and it's closer to like a Kevin Conroy type feel where, to me, I hear it and I'm like, yeah, that's Batman. That's Batman to me.
Totally, dude.
I'm unbelievably hyped for this. I'm so excited for it.
I saw
in
this.
Matt Reeves we trust. Yeah, I was excited when he got hired, and I think he's going to nail this. I'm so excited.
I was over at Sarah's family's house when this trailer came out, and I think you sent it to me or somebody sent it in the text message. I literally walked around and watched it like 5 times while I showed other people. Oh my God, this just come out. And my first experience with the trailer was on a cell phone. We just walked around. I walked around and watched it numerous times while I showed other people. This is coming out, guys. Oh my God, it's coming out. I was so pumped. I'm still so pumped. Anyways.
I've seen this trailer probably 10 to 15 times at this point, and it gets me hyped every time. Man.
It's going to be good.
This is the one for me that I'm just so thrilled about. And
do you think
it's been a long time since I've had this sort of feeling.
Do you think he could be your Batman? Do you think he'll replace your Batman? Because your Batman right now
it's Christian Bale, you know. Yeah, I think he could. I mean, what excites me is I think, and I hope, this is a year 2 Batman. I hope we see a year 4. I hope we see a year 6. I hope we see Robert Pattinson play this role for a decade, because I think that would be super interesting to see him age with the role and age with the character.
Cool, wouldn't it?
And I think that'd be a great way to do it. You know, Ben Affleck, we got that old grizzled. We kind of saw it with the Nolan Batman, except, you know, like begins the Dark Knight, it feels like great, and then like he retires at the end of Dark Knight, and then he comes back for one last hurrah, and that was it. Like, you know, like that, it was like barely a career. This, I feel like you could get young Bruce Wayne, middle-aged Bruce Wayne, and old grizzled Bruce Wayne if he sticks with the role long enough.
If
I would
DC
like to see
doesn't like
something
make
along
him
those
join
lines.
into like the Justice League or something else.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how the hell they're going to handle with that. This is clearly very detached from the rest of the universe, which is fine.
I hope
for me.
so. I hope so. Just keep it detached. I just want fucking Batman. That's all I want.
Yeah, I mean, I think this could work in a different. I mean, it's so grounded. I mean, to me, this trailer almost gives a David Fincher type vibe.
Yeah,
to
it
me.
does. It certainly does. Good call.
Which is, you know, obviously a little incongruous with a Superman type character popping up and having superpowers. But, you know, I don't know. We'll see. You know, I think there's a way to make it work, but there's also a way that it could go sour really quickly. So
we'll see. I'm remaining very optimistic.
Side note, before we move on, they also talked about there's a Gotham PD show that's coming to HBO Max that's connected to this movie.
Whoa, for real?
And what they said is that the show will follow the Gotham Police Department during Batman Year 1 when a masked vigilante starts to unsettle the city, which I think sounds great. And I'm very excited that if they're going to do a Gotham show, it's one where Batman is part of the picture and it kind of shakes up the status quo. I think that's such an interesting angle. So, yes, very quick side note. We've been here a while and we have yet to get into Bill and Ted Face the Music, which, granted, I did, I think, warn folks up front that this would be long and kind of all over the place. But we're just here having fun. And so hopefully everyone's here having fun with us, because it's time to talk about something that's excellent. Bill and Ted Face the Music, written by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, directed by Dean Parisot, stars Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, Kristen Schaal, Samara Weaving, Bridget Lundy Payne, Anthony Kerrigan, and William Sadler. Once told that they'd save the universe during a time-traveling adventure, two would-be rockers from San Dimas, California find themselves as middle-aged dads still trying to crank out a hit song and fulfill their destiny. So, before we dive into Face the Music specifically, we talked about Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure a while back, as obviously one of our major connections to the franchise, the Bill and Ted franchise. When's the last time that you have seen either Excellent Adventure or Bogus Journey, which came out, I think, respectively 1989, 1991, if I'm not mistaken?
I could not tell you the last time I watched this movie or any of the movies. It's been a very long time.
Okay. So I rewatched Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey in preparation for watching Face the Music, and I think that it was really nice to have that context, because the nice thing about these three movies is they're all written by the same two dudes, three different directors, and obviously Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter are through line for all of them. But I was so glad that I had the opportunity to have the time, I guess you could say, to watch 1 and 2 before going into 3, filmed almost 30 years later, because 1 and 2 were kind of, things at the time that were popular for the most part and interesting, and obviously have had some sort of impact on pop culture. But for this third one to come out so many years later, it's been kind of in the works for decades at this point. They've talked about doing it for a long time. I think the idea was that Keanu was pretty resistant to doing it because his career had taken a pretty different path after Bill and Ted, was successful with The Matrix and now John Wick. I mean, no one really thinks of Keanu Reeves as Ted anymore. They think of him as Neo, or they think of him as John Wick. So it's such an interesting thing to see young Keanu and now old Keanu kind of come together. But anyway, I wanted to ask you that. basically, what I think is going to happen now is you have the viewpoint of someone that is vaguely familiar with Bill and Ted, has seen them before in the past, but you don't have that recent memory of them. So when you're watching Face the Music, it's without the immediacy of and the familiarity necessarily of the prior two installments, the original two. So you're not necessarily walking in blind, but you kind of have a little bit of a different perspective than someone like me who went from watching Excellent Adventure Day 1 to Bogus Journey Day 2 to watching Face the Music Day 3 in, pretty quick succession.
Right.
So with that kind of perspective on Bill and Ted Face the Music, where you know the franchise, you like it, I think
yes,
you do.
I do.
How did it fare for you?
It fared very well.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Bill and Ted is what we need in 2020.
Yeah.
And it just feels. It was very funny. The humor was a through line. I remember the humor from the original movies. I can't remember. I can't remember exactly which movies were which. I remember the movie where where Bill and Ted go back in time to grab like historical figures, and they
so
go ahead.
Yes, I'll just give you a brief summary. Yeah, Bill and Ted need to pass history class, so they time travel back in time, grab the historical figures, bring them back for an awesome presentation, an excellent presentation at the end to pass history. That's Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is the first one. The second one, they there are people from the future that send robots Bill and Ted back, like evil Bill and Ted back. They kill regular Bill and Ted, and they go on a journey to hell where they meet death. And death escorts them to heaven, and they eventually end up back on Earth to defeat the robot evil Bill and Ted. So that's kind of the very, very basic description of Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey.
So I may have never seen Bogus Journey, but I definitely
Okay.
seen Excellent Adventure multiple times.
Okay.
Anyways, so not revisiting him, I thoroughly enjoyed Bill and Ted's Face the Music. I think the humor was great. I think the message was very applicable and very timely. It just felt like, in the state of current world events and everything else, it was nice to see the world unite. And
Yeah.
it was just nice to have a fucking funny movie with a good message and just really good. I thought it was a very it was a cute movie. I think it was. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. It scratched a good itch that I haven't had itch in a long time. It was. I don't watch a lot of comedy movies, so watching this, I sat out there on the couch and I laughed for a solid hour and a half. And I thought it was touching in a couple of different spots. It was interesting to see Keanu Reeves in a different role.
Yes, very, very much against the regular, as we know him now, Keanu Reeves type, right?
Yeah, right. Alex Winter, though, I thought he was great. I mean, he's not in a lot of stuff, is he? Alex Winter.
No. Yeah, I mean, I looked at his kind of, filmography pretty recently. He's directed a lot of documentaries in the past decade, but in terms of acting, he really has done very little beyond even Bill and Ted back in the day. He's
that's just a shame because I think he's pretty good.
He's great. Yeah.
Kid Cudi was good.
Kid Cudi was in it. Yep.
Kid Cudi. I tell you who was missing was George Carlin. It's a shame he wasn't in it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, he was a little too dead to make it, unfortunately. But yeah, it does suck because Rufus is he's such a fun character in both of those movies, and obviously there's a surrogate kind of Rufus in this movie in the form of his daughter, or the daughter of his character, I guess we'll say, but not the same as having George Carlin. Which George Carlin was he was a great comedian, outside of Bill and Ted and within Bill and Ted. That
good.
sort of presence is kind of irreplaceable, to be honest. Like, I'm glad that they didn't try to replicate that by throwing in some sort of comedian from the past couple of years to kind of hit that sort of feel, but certainly a noticeable absence. I would agree with that.
Other than that, like I said, the humor was great, the music was great, the message was great. I think it was a timely. I feel like it fit right into a 2020 movie, thought it was totally awesome.
Yeah, well, I agree, and I'm actually gonna. Something I meant to do before we started talking about the movie. We've been going for a couple hours now, roughly, and so I kind of forgot to do it. We both watched this on video on demand. This is out in theaters in America, and I think it's coming to theaters overseas within the next month or so. But I don't even know who actually made this movie. Orion Pictures, I think. Something like that. United Artists.
They're the production company.
I don't know. Yes. Anyway, basically, they made I appreciate this decision to release this simultaneously, theatrically, and with the video-on-demand platform. So, and they actually did it in a non-fucked, I think, pricing scheme for the most point. So you can rent this film for $20, or you can just buy it for $25. So we bought it. We pulled in and bought it for $25, watched it in 4K on Amazon, and my hope is that as long as theaters aren't necessarily a viable place to visit without assuming a lot of risk, I hope that more companies take notice and do it this way. You know, we saw it obviously when theaters shut down in the beginning of like things that were in theaters got pushed to VOD really quickly. But now we're at the point where like the opposite thing is happening, where like I'm sure most companies are resistant to doing that because they want the theatrical business. But I just think if the theatrical business is not working in an optimal fashion, this is such a great way to plug the gap, I would think. And it doesn't mean that like for the rest of time we have to have everything released simultaneously with video on demand, but when people are stuck inside, like give us the option, you know. And I just appreciate that was something that we could do. And for something like Bill and Ted, it felt, you know, I didn't have an urgency to see this film in theaters. Under normal circumstances, I absolutely would have, but I just really appreciate that we could watch it at home in the comfort of our homes in 4K, you know, day and date. I think that's just really great that they did that. So, turning my thoughts back to what I thought about the movie, I, of course, thought it was excellent. It was, especially coming off the backs of 1 and 2, there was a lot of great recurring jokes, characters that came back that really felt like they belonged. I mean, this honestly kind of felt like a nice blend of 1 and 2 in the sense that, so 1 has a very, I think, kind of comedic, kind of upbeat tone, whereas 2 gets darker and weirder, you know, with them traveling to hell and such, and interacting with Satan, I think, at one point. This one kind of does a bit of both. You know, we have the daughters in this, you know, who are new additions to the storyline, where they're kind of surrogate Bill and Ted's, Billy and Thea. And they kind of go through an excellent adventure type storyline here, where they, you know, go back in time and meet some historical figures and kind of work through that storyline. Whereas I think Bill and Ted themselves kind of go through that darker, kind of weirder storyline of traveling through the future, meeting some alternate versions of themselves. And, you know, things aren't exactly sunshines and rainbows or anything like that. You know, things get kind of dark and out there. And I think that their storyline themselves, I mean, kind of what sets them on their journey is that they're middle-aged and they're kind of washed up and they haven't done shit, basically. You know, they had this great destiny and they haven't fulfilled that destiny, and it's been, you know, almost 30 years and they're still just kind of themselves, and they're endearing because they're themselves, but like their wives are kind of getting like, okay, you know, like, you know, their marriages are coming to a head. They're personalized. Like they're just, you know, it just feels so kind of relevant to just, you know, feel like just have this story where things aren't going well for them. And then of course, because it's Bill and Ted and things have to be wild, the universe is going to collapse reality as they know it is going to collapse because Bill and Ted have to unite the universe and, face the music and bring everything together. I don't know. I like that they had those two disparate storylines, and I think the way that they kind of, some of it works better than other parts of it. There are some things that are just incredibly funny in this, and some that's not as funny, but still pretty entertaining. This movie's never bad. It's nice. It's tight. Every single Bill and Ted movie is like 90 minutes long, and like that's awesome. You could watch all three back to back in a night if you really wanted to, and it's still shorter than probably a Lord of the Rings movie. You know what I mean? I had a blast with this film. It's just lovely. It's just enjoyable. Keanu Reeves, I actually think, is the weaker of the two. I think Alex Winter sunk back into that role as Bill S. Preston Esquire.
I agree,
almost
100%.
Seamlessly. He felt so authentic, whereas Keanu, who I don't think is actually the greatest actor in the world, just speaking plainly, I think that he's really, really great in specific roles, and like for the most part, that's been kind of not necessarily basic roles, but roles where not much is demanded of him. Like John Wick is a pretty, he's a badass action dude, but fairly emotionless for the most part. Neo was kind of just at least in the first Matrix, he was kind of the observer, he was reacting to everything around him, and I think like Ted, when he played him in the first two Bill and Ted's, like he was, he had this youthful exuberance that like was clearly just young Keanu, just being young Keanu. And this is an older Keanu where he's aged quite a bit. He shaved the beard and he looks old. You say Keanu looks like a vampire when he has the beard. He looks like he hasn't aged a day, but once he shaves, he kind of he starts to show his age a little bit more. But he kind of, he didn't have that same sort of youthful energy that he had. But at the same time, that also kind of worked. There's like the one point where it's like, I'm tired, dude. Like it kind of felt like, yeah, this is a Ted that's kind of been grinding it out for years and years and years. And like things aren't really working out for either of these guys. And he's the one that's kind of feeling that more than Bill is. I don't know. Something about it just felt super authentic. And I think that, I guess maybe the thing is Bill is kind of closer to being the same character, whereas Ted's a little bit older and feeling it a little bit more. And so that kind of reflects in Keanu's performance. But those two, they slipped in pretty well. But for me, Alex Winter particularly just did a really good job. I thought the daughters were okay overall. They're kind of Bill and Ted clones in a way. I think that worked to varying degrees. But I think like you said, kind of the story they tell feels timely and it feels good. It's a good movie that doesn't like, it's fun to watch. It doesn't make you feel down on yourself. And by the end, do you think that was a really just kind of enjoyable 90 minutes that I just spent with this, and I'm thankful for it. So Bill and Ted Face the Music. I think it's just delightful. I think that's what I'd say about it.
I think that's the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Yes, delightful. Any other non-spoiler thoughts? We can definitely, I think we'll have some things to say in spoilers, at least I will, just drawing on some recency with the first two Bill and Ted's. But any other non-spoiler thoughts for you?
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, let's move on to recommendation then. So our usual recommendation scale is, very yes, totally fine, shithouse. I thought maybe we'd substitute a Bill and Ted appropriate recommendation scale on its place. Does that sound okay to you?
Yeah, totally.
So I've decided to implement a 3-tiered scale. We're changing it a little bit. So the best of the best is excellent. And then, middle of the ground, which is still pretty good, to be honest, is decidedly non-heinous. And then and then the last one, which is, this is pretty bad, is bogus. So
decidedly non-heinous, bro.
That was a most decidedly non-heinous film, my dude.
That's on a side note, their vocabulary is so fucking strong, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
him and his
pretty good.
their vocabulary is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
I wish I could. I don't know. I just kind of wish I could just talk like that all the time. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, I'm sorry. That's one thing I did notice.
Where do you stand?
What was the highest one again?
Excellent.
I would say it was excellent.
Yeah, I'll say excellent as well. I decidedly non-heinous is great. But I don't think it's the best of the trilogy. I mean, it's what I liked about each of these three films, and honestly, if you have the time, it's still worthwhile to watch 1 and 2 at any point if you can. Especially 2 if you haven't seen it. You should definitely watch 2. I think it'll make you appreciate more things about 3 in certain ways. I like that 1 has this very specific tone, 2 gets weird and dark with it, and 3 just kind of combines those. They all stand on their own very well. 2 is so different from 1, and 3 is different enough from 2 and 1 that it doesn't feel like it's just aping the same material and trying to do like a greatest hits type thing that sequels often try to do. Each one really, really just kind of feels unique in their own right, and I think that together they work exceptionally well. And really, what more could you ask for from a trilogy is to have 3 distinct films that just work well. You know, I think that's great. So I'll say excellent as well for specifically for Bill and Ted Face the Music, but I think all 3 of them are excellent. I'd highly recommend watching any of them if you guys have the opportunity. So shall we dive into some full spoilers?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
All right, full spoilers for Bill and Ted Face the Music. So, there's a few things in here that are pretty great. What'd you think about Dennis Caleb McCoy?
Dennis fucking Caleb. Oh my goodness. It
cracked me the fuck up.
Constantly melting down, like having problems, like every time he shoots somebody. Oh God. It's pretty good.
Oh man.
I think I don't know, there was a lot of things that kind of worked for me in this movie.
Let's talk about it.
You just keep talking. I have to think. Okay.
Okay.
So you just talk, and I'll if you touch on one of them, I'll get excited.
You'll chime in as necessary. Okay. Well, I think from the top, this is something that was you might have remembered it from 1, but I think seeing the first 2 really highlights it. So the movie kind of starts with them at a wedding, right? It's Ted's brother that's getting married.
Yeah, and his mom's dated like everybody.
I guess they kind of explain it. Yeah, actually, I guess within the movie itself. But the joke is that in the first movie, she is married Bill's dad, and she's like 3 years older than Bill, and went to high school with him, basically. And so that's the joke, is that, hey, your stepmom is like 3 years older than you, and like you know stepmom's totally hot, dude. Like that's the joke in 1. And then in 2, she marries Ted's dad, so that she's Ted's stepdad. And there's a couple parts where like both the dads are in the same room, and like Bill's dad just looks really downtrodden because he's like, damn it, and then here she's marrying Ted's younger brother, and then the whole conversation of just being like, and then your dad is his own son, something like that. Like I forgot that they kind of went into that a little bit, but it's incredible. So I really appreciate it. And they brought back the same actress to play that role, which was great. So right off the bat, I knew, I'm like, yes, the humor is still here. The same style of humor is here. It's present. It's great. Let's see. Well, I guess we could talk a little bit about their encounters with their future selves.
And they were all shitheads throughout the whole thing. That was pretty funny.
Future Ted's a real dick.
He's real pretentious. He's a real pretentious asshole.
Yeah, there was some good stuff.
They
in there.
fucking broke into Dave Grohl's house.
The fucking Dave Grohl showing up was awesome. Who are you guys?
That was pretty great. I laughed at that.
I enjoyed that. Was a fun cameo. I greatly enjoyed that. I think I almost wish it wasn't spoiled by the trailer, but I thought when they ended up in the prison with their, the super over the top bodysuits, like I remember seeing that in the trailer and just thinking like, yes, this is awesome. I almost wish that surprise had not been spoiled for me because I thought that was hilarious. I think that's probably my favorite. Well, I don't know. The old versions of themselves was actually pretty incredible too.
That was pretty good.
And then the nursing home which I don't know. That was all pretty funny. I liked basically kind of every iteration that they ran into. I felt like that was, I don't know, pretty much all the Bill and Ted stuff I just really, really enjoyed. Like, it was just nice to just see these two sink back into those roles, years and years later. I really, really liked that. How'd you feel about the kids, Billy and Thea? Did they work for you?
So they come back from the marriage counseling, and the daughters are both like praising them on their wedding singer song, and they start like dissecting the music and everything else, and that's where I really appreciated the vocabulary, because I don't even know what words they said, but they I don't know, they were just talking super smart about music, and I thought it was really funny. I don't know, some of that stuff's just like really touching for like, it was just, I don't know. It was just, although it was really funny, but it's also really interesting to see a middle-aged people struggling to find what they think. I mean, because that's a really prevalent thing, right? Where people live their life and they don't feel like they've fulfilled any sort of real destiny. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They think that they're meant for more, and they don't think that they're living up to what they're worth. And you have Bill and Ted, and they go through their life, and they have to live up to this destiny that the future said they had to live up to. And then by the end of the film, they've lived up to their destiny by virtue of being good fathers, which I think is fucking excellent. I think that's really cool.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
And I think it just makes for a really touching story. And then on top of that, I just, on top of the humor, I thought the whole thing was really funny. But at the same time, I think it served it just felt very timely in maybe it's just because I'm like hypersensitive to COVID 2020 shitty year kind of circumstances. Mm-hmm. But it does feel like an onion kind of movie. Like there's like layers to it.
Some layers in it, yeah.
And I think that there's a lot more to get from this movie other than just the surface layer humor. The fact that, the whole world and time and reality gets settled by everybody playing at once. It's not the song, but it's just the fact that everybody was playing at the same time. Everybody was, I think it was really touching. I thought it was really good.
Yeah.
But funny things, Dave Grohl was pretty fucking hilarious. I thought that was really funny. The mom thing in the very beginning was pretty funny. Mm-hmm. What else do we have?
I thought there's the moment where, well, I thought the couples therapy scenes were pretty funny overall.
They were, yeah, where they kept like, no, dude, you totally didn't get it. No offense, dude, but you just don't understand. I totally love you, and he totally loves you too, or whatever the fuck it was. That was pretty funny. And I thought it was funny that they go back in time and they think they're ruining it, so they go back to the wedding, not to the wedding, but to the marriage counseling, and like, oh fuck, that didn't go according to plan either. It's just like no matter what they do, they can't get the shit right.
Yeah,
It's hilarious. I also I meant to say this earlier. Did the guy that played what musician was he? The trumpet player.
Louis Armstrong.
Louis Armstrong. That dude was fucking over the top with the way he kept talking as Louis Armstrong.
A little bit.
Did you get that?
Yeah. A little bit, yeah.
I thought he was a little over the top. But other than that, though, man, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I mean, I can't really complain. I think Death, I think if you watch Bogus Journey, you'll appreciate Death's inclusion a lot. I mean, I'm sure it was entertaining here, slapping the bass and whatnot, but yeah, that
did the lawsuit thing happen in the second movie, or was that?
Yeah, it's sort of. It's kind of in the credits of the second movie. Like there's a bunch of like newspaper headlines that are the credits of the second movie, and so it's kind of a reference to that. So I would highly encourage you to watch the second one. I would encourage you to watch Bogus Journey specifically, because I think you'll appreciate that. And there's a couple other references like specifically to the second one. I think that if you haven't seen it, are kind of lost. But yeah, trying to think if there's anything else that I really enjoyed it. I thought there, like I said, there was a couple times I think where the kids themselves were trying, they kind of came off as like a bad impersonation of Bill and Ted. But I almost think that that's just coming off the immediacy of watching the first two, where I've seen them like, and it just felt like they watched those over and over again and wanted to just replicate that as much as possible. I think Thea.
I think that was more so the case with the darker haired girl.
Yes, I thought that they were doing it felt like an impersonation, whereas I felt like Billy. No, the other way. No, I guess I don't remember which. Yes, I think they named each other. They named their kids after each other. So I think Billy was the darker haired girl, and then Thea was yes. So So I think Thea was good. I thought she felt more naturalistic in terms of like she still had a similar energy without being a carbon copy. Whereas I felt that Billy felt more like the character was trying to be more of a carbon copy of like young Ted, and it didn't work as well for me. But I didn't mind either of them, and I liked that they didn't like even. I mean, the whole kind of thing of like the daughters are the ones that have a big part in the finale with writing the song that binds reality and saves the universe. Like pretty predictable, right? Not groundbreaking or anything like that, but it's not really the point. And I liked that beyond that, it was like, yeah, like I think kind of what you're talking about, like, oh, the way that this, unites the world is that literally everyone plays it. It's not like the song is so great that it fundamentally changes the universe. It's like music just brings people together. And it's like, yeah, it kind of does, doesn't it? So I don't know.
Kind of brought a little tear to my eye. I was like, oh, fuck,
good.
That's nice. That's a nice little thing.
It ended a little too abruptly. I wanted like a 2-minute, like kind of like post, repairing the universe kind of like moment to spend with everyone, but honestly, it's a quibble. I think overall, I think I was really satisfied with Bill and Ted Face the Music. So in summary, I would say Bill and Ted Face the Music is excellent. I'm sure people are tired of hearing that by now. Too bad. Get over it. All right, we've been going long, but I'll still ask you. You been up to anything recently you want to talk about?
So I started HBO Max's Cthulhu World.
Lovecraft Country?
The Lovecraft, that's what it's called. Lovecraft Country. I started that.
How far into it? 1, 2 episodes, 3 episodes? 2 episodes.
2 episodes. Third episode came out last night, which I was watching Bill and Ted instead. Mm-hmm. Bill and Ted instead. I made a run.
Instead.
Look at
yes,
that.
You did. Good for you.
Good for you.
So no, I am about it. I like it. It's cool. Quirky enough, relative enough, and interesting enough to where I will keep watching it.
All right.
I don't think it's the best thing I've ever seen, but it is certainly intriguing. I finished Star Wars, the Star Wars video game.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I did finish that, and that is most excellent, especially that ending.
Most decidedly non-heinous is what you'd say?
Most decidedly non-heinous, most definitely.
Yeah.
Very excellent, I would say. And it was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, that whole the whole like I think the third act, I guess spoilers for Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The whole like, once your lightsaber breaks, you got to get the new Kyber crystal. I think from that point on, like the story really picks up steam. I felt like
it does.
Did you feel the same way?
Yeah, definitely. And it's. I feel like if I would have played the video game within like 2 weeks instead of like 8 months, it would have been a much cooler fucking thing.
Sure.
But I feel like in retrospect, it does lose a little bit of steam in the middle portions.
It feels more video gamey. Like it's just like bouncing planet to planet, like exploring, and it's fun and it's cool, but like the story loses momentum in a big way.
That's it. I feel like the cool parts start on Dathomir versus just the...
Yeah, I'd agree. Well, because you get a new character that gets added to the Mantis. Like, it just feels like it's starting to wind up at that point, and then it kind of does.
In a very quick fashion.
The crazy Jedi guy who was a total pain in the ass for me to beat. I don't know if you ended up having trouble with him, too.
You had a problem with that guy?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That guy was so incredibly... I think he was the easiest boss for me compared to... yes. The hardest one by far was the Ninth Sister. She was definitely the hardest one.
The Ninth Sister? I think I beat her in I don't know. That's so bizarre to me that...
Yeah? You beat her real quick?
I had no issues with the Ninth Sister. I mean, I think I restarted like once or twice, but yeah, the guy on Dathomir, I already forgot his name. I spent an hour and a half, I think, at least on fighting him.
See, I'm totally flip-flopped. I had an hour and a half fighting the Ninth Sister, and I beat him on the first shot. So it's funny. But other than that, though, I mean, it was a super, super satisfying conclusion to that game. I'm really glad I went through and finished that. And other than that, though, I was gonna go on a fishing, another fishing. What do they call that when you go on a
fishing expedition?
It was an expedition. They call it something else, though, when you go out on the boat and catch fish with other people. But the inclement weather. Hurricane Laura and all the hurricanes.
Yep, that could be a problem. Yep.
Yeah.
Sure.
The weather was inclement, and they canceled the first weekend, and then they canceled the second weekend, so we just canceled altogether, and so we didn't end up going at all, which is pretty lame, but that's the way it goes. Other than that, though, that's pretty much all I've been up to. I haven't been up to a whole lot. What about you, man?
Well, I would say pretty similar. Haven't been up to a whole lot. The fall semester, my last year of law school, second to last semester of law school has commenced. We had 1 week of hybrid of in-person and online classes, and we have shift to 2 weeks of online learning. So things are going well at Temple campus, apparently. It's been okay. Getting back into swing of things with school, obviously. Beyond that, I've been watching some TV, but kind of the same old in terms of what we talked about last episode we recorded. Watched a lot more of The West Wing, I think, through the first 15 episodes of the first season. The West Wing is great. I believe that you tagged Anna and myself in a Facebook post about a West Wing reunion special that's heading to HBO Max later this year, which is very cool. It's called a West Wing special to benefit when we all vote. So obviously it's raising awareness for people to vote. Specifically,
your fucking civil duty. I don't want to talk about politics on this fucking podcast, okay? But vote. Please vote. At the very least, if you do anything, just vote at home. Absentee voting, go into a ballot, whatever. Just cast your fucking vote. That's it. It's your civil duty.
NBA
vote.
Just announced that all NBA arenas will be voting sites for the election. So if you live in a major metropolitan area or close to it, that's a huge, huge space where if you don't feel comfortable voting by mail or doing absentee, then that's an option. When We All Vote is a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization co-chaired by Michelle Obama, founded to increase participation in every election in America. So the reunion special is linked to that specifically. It's going to feature a theatrical staging of one of the show's episodes, as well as original material for the event from series creator Aaron Sorkin, bringing back a lot of the cast. So it sounds really cool. So I'm sure by the time the special happens, I'll be well past the first season. But I think, The West Wing it's a phenomenal show. I love how it's written. I love how it's performed. It's all on Netflix right now. It's how I'm watching it. I'm really, really blown away by it. I think it's really great. So I highly recommend it to anyone that has never watched it like myself. It's a good one. Beyond that, more New Girl. We're in the 5th season. Zooey Deschanel is back. She had a baby, so now she's back, and she's back to ruining the show with her presence. So things are great on that front. We miss you, Megan Fox. Please come back. Yeah, she's just the worst character on the show, and it makes it a drag sometimes. Fortunately, everyone else on that show is great, so we appreciate them for all the heavy lifting that they have to do to outweigh Jess, the new girl, the titular new girl, trying to ruin her own show. Other than that, last but not least, Anna and I have been playing a fair amount of Monopoly. I got her a Mandalorian themed version of Monopoly for our 1-year anniversary at her request, and she's won, I think, the first 2 or 3 games, and I won the most recent one. It's pretty fun. It's like a the child themed version of it. So there's a lot of Baby Yoda Yiddle stuff on it, and it's Monopoly. But it's actually a smaller version of Monopoly. It's not as bad. There's only 2 properties for each set instead of 3 for most of them. So I think it's a little bit more simplified, which makes it a little bit more expedient to play, which Monopoly games, it's still a long game, but it's not like stupid long.
Is it a 4-hour game?
No, it's usually been close to 2, so it's a little bit better. But we've also only been playing with 2 people. We haven't played with any more than 2 people. That might make it a little bit longer. So, I don't know. It's fun. We've had fun with it.
Have you played the War Chest?
We haven't played it yet. We haven't.
God damn it! You got to play the War Chest. It's the best game.
We'll play it and we'll report back. We'll let you know. We'll let you know how it is. At least how we enjoy it. I guess you know how it is, but we'll let you know how we enjoy it. But yes. It's been sitting in her apartment. We've talked about it. We just haven't actually done it yet. But school started, man. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
All right, that's it for me. I think we can go ahead and call it there for this lengthy but extensive and exhaustive episode, I think. What do you think?
I think we're good.
All right. Thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. Patreon, we have a Patreon. If you want to contribute $2 a month, you can get access to all of our bonus episodes as well as early access to all of our regular episodes. Andrew, I think, has 1 more Studio Ghibli movie to watch. I think I have 3 more or so, and then that is going to be the subject of our next bonus episode. So look forward to that. It's the 1990s of Studio Ghibli if you want to look it up on Wikipedia or wherever and see what you need to watch if you want to participate alongside us. So that will be coming hopefully soon. Hopefully. Patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat if you want to hop on that. Our website is watchreviewrepeat.com. You can follow us on social media. We are on Twitter at WRRPod. If you want to follow us, you can just search for Watch Review Repeat on Facebook if you want to like our page there as well. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions about anything and everything, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. We'll be happy to take a look, talk about it on the next episode. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod, licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our next episode, Mulan, is actually dropping on Disney Plus with that nice $30 rental price point. So that is probably going to be what that'll probably end up being what we'll cover next, if I had to guess. That the price is going to hurt, but I think, new content, we'll I think we'll succumb is what I'll say. So hopefully it's worth the entry price point, but we'll see. So we'll catch you on the next episode, and we'll leave you with this. Leave you with this little bit of knowledge for you. Be excellent to each other.
And party on.